The story begins in Gangseo province in the Merm Federation. The leader gathers over 10,000 warriors to fight against the mysterious power. His speech is greeted with the glint of prey and cheers from the crowd below. He emphasizes the importance of each raising the 3 flags, with different functions based on the color. Then, the blue flag, actually coated with poison. That flag indicates an area where second-rank soldiers can enter. And furthermore, the green flag, meaning officers below the first rank, may not approach the area until they are rounded up. And finally, the red flag. It indicates detoxification is not possible. The leaders stressed that soldiers should put up warning flags, even if they were attacked to the end. Right when they finished, suddenly a red flag appears, out of nowhere. The flag was planted right where the leader was standing. Then, because it caused everyone to feel scared, after asking if everything was all right, a man who poisoned a dragon appeared. He greeted the people from the Pure Federation and taunted them, later confirming that anyone who intends to kill him will die. The venom dragon, also known as Jin Ja Gang, is said to be the greatest annihilator the world has ever seen. Then, one night, an unexpected incident occurred. A child was seen sleeping with his mother, Ja Gang. That's the name of the child who was sleeping with his mother. Then, while he was sleeping, he suddenly smelt something strange, and he tried to wake his mother up to see what was going on. But when he tried to wake her up, Ja Gang saw that she looked like she had been poisoned, that she was foaming at the mouth. And then she died, because of the poisoning of the red centipede. Suddenly the red centipede crawled out of its dead mother's collar. The red centipede is the most poisonous centipede of all centipedes. And after biting its mother, the beast that saw it made him feel angry and sad because his mother is dead. Then Ja Gang saw the centipede. He immediately bit the centipede with his teeth, but it even made him faint. Then his grandfather came, and it seemed like it was too late, but he managed to give a fireball to Ja Gang to detoxify his poison. It looks like the ball given by his grandfather was drug. And then outside the house it was seen that the members of the poison sect were waiting, and led by their leader, the Mangreo, who saw that, immediately scolded him. This all happened because your stubbornness of not listening to me earlier caused your family to die. Later, Ja Gang's grandfather did everything in his power to save his grandson. Mangreo was surprised to see that Ja Gang was still alive, and even more shocked when he saw Ja Gang had taken a red centipede shell and thrust it into his Mangreo's leg. The poison quickly spread to Mangreo's leg, and he had to cut it open, his leg, to save his life. Then amidst the chaos, his grandfather took him to a cave to protect him. He heard that eating the red centipede's owner's poison pouch can neutralize poison, and he vowed to protect Ja Gang, even if it cost him his own life. Later, the poison sect finally found their hideout, and while Ja Gang's grandfather died from an attack from the Mangreo, Ja Gang survived. Instead of killing to avenge his crippled left leg, the Mangreo used him as a test tool to test the various toxic substances it synthesizes. The Mangreo would continue his experiments by giving potions and testing various poisons and potions on him. He was documenting the results of each potion experiment. The Ja Gang, who was losing consciousness, made him experience every effect of the poison, while the Mangreo was fully awake. And then, while waiting for Ja Gang to recover from this poisoning incident, Mangreo received a call from the Merm Federation. After he left, Ja Gang woke up. When Mangreo came back, he smelled poison, before even reaching the gate. When he opened the door, he was shocked to find that the poison beast had run away. Ja Gang was nowhere to be found. He frantically searched everywhere, unable to believe that he could lose such a valuable tool. He noticed that the garbage chute door was open, so he thought that Ja Gang might be hiding inside, however. When he opened the door, bamboo leaves coated with poison flew into his face, causing him to quickly search for an antidote. Unfortunately, he had no idea what kind of poison to use. Ja Gang has been hiding in a basket of venomous snakes the whole time, and he has built up an immunity to the poison Ja Gang uses to drain venom from his blood, so no antidote can save the Mangreo. Later, when Ja Gang was running away from home, he overheard a member of the poison sect talking about someone who reported the poison school to the Merm Federation. And then, they mentioned that General Li Zhang personally visited them to investigate something. Khan came up with an idea to inform the Merm Federation about the injustice that the White Flower Sect was suffering from. So Ja Gang sneaked into the Federation and tried to find the Merm Federation leader while leaving their conversation. He heard the leader and an old man discussing the death of someone from the Wang family who was killed by Ja Gang. The poison school was about to report the injustice suffered by the White Flower Sect. But then he heard the old man say that suppressing the medical school was difficult, and one of them had run away. Ja Gang realized that the Merm Federation had not condemned the poison school's evil, but rather helped them, much to his shock and disappointment, for putting his trust in the wrong place. The next day the old man arranged his celebration for the poison school, during which side he received the secret report and had to leave. Believing hearing news from his underlings, it turned out that Mangryo, who had studied poisons for tens of years, was found unconscious as a result of poisoning. If this was revealed, it would be a problem for them. Then Kang is from behind the bushes, as the remaining medical school members are escorted to an underground tunnel maintained by poison sacks. They were tortured and beaten for falling behind and moving slowly when the deputy head of the medical school took down the thugs. They were ordered to refrain from taking advantage of the moment for Ja Gang to infiltrate the escorted group. Ja Gang secretly introduced himself to the others as a member of the White Flower Sect and told them the story of how it was used as an experimental tool for poison by the people of the Poison Sect. And he had planned to take down the 5 guards on his way to help the people in the wagon escape. But the man who had spoken to him earlier warned him that because the guards were skilled with swords and could kill them at any time, Ja Gang revealed his own blood to be a deadly poison, because thanks to Mangryo's cruel experiment. The medicine sect was against this plan as they were afraid that if Ja Gang failed, they would all die as they argued with the emissary. On horseback arrives and informs them that the headmaster has ordered the cart to stop and return to the sect. The reason for the order to stop is because the Mangryo fainted and one of the captives escaped. Today 11 people from the medical school were being hauled down the tunnels, but the head guard Dado counted 12, revealing that the escaped captives had been there the whole time. He was using his sword and threatening to kill all, to avoid having to continue into the tunnels. One of the captives out of fear of being accused. Ja Gang as a way to avoid being killed however things don't go as planned. And Dado kills the accuser, shocking the others. They criticize him for treating human life as if it were nothing, countering that they will meet the same fate when he finishes speaking. Then 11 captives jumped out of the wagon, each holding a piece of porcelain to attack the guards all. Though the ordinary-looking porcelain caused those who touched it to vomit blood. After being cut, this made Dado realize that they were poisoned, and use his sword in the normal way. Using a sword to finish off one man among them, he is about to kill the next captive, when Ja Gang, who is silently holding a piece of china, appears behind him. Ja Gang uses the porcelain to strike Dado in the neck, when his attention is diverted. But it is not. It didn't work because Dado had fast reflexes and easily dodged the surprise attack. He immediately turned around and used his sword to stab his stomach. Then weakly refused, thinking that if he failed everyone would die. He held his sword. Dado laughed, and as usual licked his sword. After killing someone, he effortlessly killed everyone in the medical school, leaving only the vice chief. To Khan, what he didn't expect was that Ja Gang, although weak, could stand up and count to 10. At first he didn't understand, but after those 10 seconds he suddenly bled. He was poisoned, but he wasn't slashed in the back. As it turned out earlier, Ja Gang had noticed Dado's habit of licking his sword, so he poisoned his blade when Dado wasn't paying attention. Dado begged Ja Gang for an antidote. Dan promised to help him to enter the sect, in return. But of course his words were in vain because the vice had killed him immediately. The deputy had stopped, while bleeding for Taiken, and 2 people got on horseback and fled from the scene. Ja Gang felt guilty for causing everyone's death people, but the deputy has comforted and motivated him to revenge. After saying those words, he had lost a prisoner because the boss was there too. After hearing that the boss was killed, he became disheartened and afraid that the Honorable Lord would find out about it. However, life is unpredictable, and the Honorable Lord heard everything. The commander begged the Lord for one last chance to prove their abilities, and Master agrees, but also warns that if they fail this time, the poison school will have no future. He runs to the Chief Mong's place, where he is very sick and lies down on the bed, looking very sad when he hears that Ja Gang has run away himself from the poison he could not help. But screaming loudly, he muttered something to the commander, and after a few weeks passed, Ja Gang had recovered very quickly from his wounds. He felt that now was the time to move. He went to the capital to hear the situation and find a job to make a living. He was surprised to hear that the people from the White Flower Sect had been captured and sent to the mines and worked as slaves. Upon hearing this, he immediately ran away, knowing that only he could save them. Now in the tunnel at Namoa, the commander is very worried because Ja Gang hasn't appeared yet, even though he has followed Chief Mang's advice to use the White Flower Sect's people as bait. Chief Main is even more excited than anyone. He is the one who wants to tear Jake into pieces. The one who had taken his legs and even his eyes, caused him the most pain. Arrived at the tunnel where he saw some familiar people from the White Flower Sect, but there were more guards than he expected, and he couldn't handle them alone, so he lit a big fire in the storage room to distract them. This allowed him to sneak into the tunnel and reunite with the White Flower Sect. We were happy to see him alive. Ja Gang proposes to help them escape using a poisoned substance he has. While at Chief Mung's place, he realizes that the fire was not accidental, and suspecting that Jaken is hiding in the tunnels, he goes there and finds Ja Gang discussing an escape plan with the White Flower Sect Mangrio, who do not do it. Not wanting to hurt Ja Gang, against Wei Zhong's proposal to kill them all in the tunnel, the guards panicked and warned that the tunnel would be destroyed. They instructed the White Flower Sect to remain calm and stay in place, which the higher representative wanted. The magnetic head rushed to block tunnel entrance due to landslide. Then he shouted in front of frustration because that wasn't what he wanted. He wanted the butcher to die by his hands, while the members of the White Flower Sect were discussing the importance of the tunnel for the school's poison. Since it was there they mined their poison, they suspected that the landslide was caused by someone from Poison School. Then digging their way out was difficult, and they didn't have enough food or torches. Slowly they grew tired. Their efforts to dig every day were in vain, as the tunnel kept collapsing on them. Despite this, Ja Gang endured, never giving up. His determination impressed Elder Gong from the mighty Yellow Sect, who wanted to pass down their teachings to Ja Gang. From a different sect also wanted to pass on their teachings to him. Ja Gang readily accepted all these teachings, as his mission in life was to avenge those who died for him. Day after day, Ja Gang studied the art of integration and the art of creation. He tirelessly absorbed hidden martial arts techniques from many sects, showing his extraordinary ability to learn finally. The moment came when Grandpa Gong breathed his last, and everyone, including Ja Gang, was crying outside. It had been 2 weeks. Since the tunnel collapses and Mangrio slowly loses his mind, he turns to drinking, hoping that one day Ja Gang will find his way out. Time flies by, and one by one the people in the tunnel die from starvation. Ja Gang was the last survivor living above the grass and poisoned water in the tunnel. Despite the hardships and solitude, he spent his time training and digging caves. Many years passed, and it was already his 8th year in the tunnel. During a clear moonlit night, a child who was once on the brink of childhood returns as a fierce soldier. This time the commander, a white-haired man, led his army to kill, rob, and plunder other sects. His ultimate goal was to get their secret teachings. After taking something that contained the secret of this martial art, he killed all the survivors to silence them. He drank heavily and thought about the curse of the people he had killed that day. He wanted to absorb and make all the secret martial arts teachings of the smaller sect his own. The next morning he woke up to find his body covered in red ash. When he called out as boy, he was surprised to see that all his mouth guards were foaming from being poisoned. The rest had the same symptoms, including glistening face and red pimples. These were symptoms of cinnabar poison, not effects of liquor. Lower ranks reported that this was poison taken from tunnels, and there are very few antidotes available. But who can do this other than the main character? Who else can enter? He is in the forest, boiling a large pot of water with firewood smoke rising from it, and behind him you can see eyes sparkling with anger of revenge. After taking medicine, the commander-in-chief and his men go looking for the culprit. They ran towards the forest where the smoke was coming from. Ja Gang appeared after the smoke cleared, and when asked why he did it, what did he do, he only replied with one word: revenge. The commander finds that entertaining Ja Gang, who is from medical school, would do something like this. He even jokes that Ja Gang is playing a trick on him, by coming alone despite praising Ja Gang for setting fire to Cinnabar and targeting Poison School. The commander realizes that Jacob's fighting skills are very strong. Even when the group is attack it together, they can't beat it. The commander notices something odd about Ja Gang's swordsmanship and footwork, which suggests he is not an experienced fighter despite this. Can't seem to beat him. Frustrated with their failure, the commander decides to fight Jacob himself. He believes he can handle it, but finds that his own fighting skills slow and clumsy. Turns out that his poison contains not only cinnabar, but also leafy green. Ja Gang is immune to poison, but the commander's body slowly needs poison. The commander tries to beg Ja Gang for the antidote, promising to help him get revenge in return. But Ja Gang refuses to give him the antidote, saying that he is immune to poison and that he is the punishment for the Poison School. Then Ja Gang arrived at the Poison Sect's territory and defeated all their lackeys alone in Ja Gang's mind. He knew that just because the Poison Sect disappeared, it didn't mean everything was solved. They were just a frontman for a corrupt organization. He found many documents detailing the sect's activities and found that the closure of the mine, many people in his sect died, decided by the approval of the three great sect poisons, Ian Ma. Meanwhile, the Mangrio is teaching poison in his class and receiving much praise from his students. Then after that, he was summoned by the Alliance and met the master of the Blue Dragon Longsword Sect, Li Jungbek, who was also an honorable lord, previously declaring that the Poison Sect had disappeared in one day. Lord expressed his wish for the Mangrio to investigate this incident, as the Poison Sect is still very important in the Merm Federation. But it seems that the Mangrio already knows that the mastermind behind all that is Jin Ja Gang, the person he mentioned to Tuan 8 years ago. But Tuan thinks there is no way a child who was buried in a mine 8 years ago could do this. This Mangrio wants to handle the investigation, and Overlord agrees to hand over the plaque to him, who holds the same authority, with the Alliance's main branch Mangrio investigator riding his horse to witness the devastation caused by the poison cult. While throwing a dart, suddenly hitting him, the three greatest sects of the Poison School have gathered there, including the Iron Umbrella of the Dark Sect and the Poison Valley, Sect Leader Sect. The Poison Valley haunts the Mangrio and accuses him of stealing all their money and running away. It is not clear if this is true, but the appearance of the Mangrio indicated that the Martial Alliance was paying attention to this incident. They hypothesized that the culprit was the opposing force created by General Li. But if so, they should have attacked Li. Instead, the Mangrio Poison Sect looked at the corpse and concluded that they were not directly attacked, but poisoned. The problem is how the poison was used. They examined the commander's body and the pot of poison that Ja Gang, Mangrio, had cooked with his knowledge. With a deep understanding of poisons, quickly identifying the technique used by the culprit, he realized that only Ja Gang had dared to use cinnabar poison, and that he did it on purpose to leave his identity behind. Then, taking revenge, after cotton for a while, the leaders of each sect went home. The Do leader of the Iron Umbrella sect returned to his territory, and ordered his soldiers to prepare for the enemy to come. Suddenly a bag fell from above and exploded, emitting smoke poisonous, and killed all the leader's vision. The Do army was a bit weak, but he immediately recognized the figure. After removing the poison sac, the culprit did not leave immediately. He plans to face them all and is waiting for the right time in the poison. Smoke soldiers face many losses in the smoke battle. It not only blocks their vision, but also makes it hard for them to breathe. However, the culprit moves very quickly and is used to fighting in the dark. The Do leader lost the needle. As for Jakin, he believed Ja Gang was just a minor problem and easily dealt with normally. If someone were hit by these broken needles, their bones would melt, and they would experience excruciating pain. But as the leader Do approached, Ja Gang, who appeared to have fainted from the poison, suddenly stood up and attacked him, leaving the leader, Do, shocked. Ja Gang even threw the needles returned to Do's bottom, causing him to immediately follow the ground, rambling on, which he missed in fright, for Ja Gang still had plenty of needles in his hands. He told himself to try to dodge at all costs, but as soon as he finished thinking he couldn't move, and maybe accidentally inhaled poison, he had been hit by the needles. At that time, Ja Gang approached him and said that even though the needles had great power, they didn't work on him quickly. News of SEC Iron Umbrella being attacked reached leader Yuck, leader of Poison Sect. He felt uneasy, and instructed his soldiers to always keep watch from afar. Mangryo appeared and said he was there minding his own business. But his tone infuriated the Yuk leader so much. To make things worse, the Mangryo ordered everyone to die. Unable to take it anymore, and orders his underlings to attack, and in the life of the Mangryo to show him what respect is, then turns to carnage in an area filled with poison gas and iron umbrellas. The area of the sect analyzed by the mass assassin with skill. Ja Gang realized that his opponent could beat the Do leader who was considered the master. While thinking he saw a blurry figure in the poison gas, and assuming it was his enemy, he rushed forward and attacked with his sword, only to find that he had attacked the Dark Sect leader instead of his actual enemy behind him, and used a Dark Sect skill to attack him again. The Mangryo in the Poison Sect in the blink of an eye. The Mangryo had defeated all his underlings without lifting a finger, and he laughed and said that was the difference in their ranks. The leader of York believed that the Mangryo had been hiding his skills all along, waiting for the opportunity to return to the Poison Sect and take over. However, he misunderstood with Elder Mang. The only thing he cares about is the one person he wants to face all the free sects in one day. The words Mangryo reveal that he knows who the culprit is. That is, in leader Yuk wants to know the nature of the relationship between two people. According to Mangryo, Jakin is the reason he tries to overcome difficulties. After being kicked out of the Poison Sect and taking revenge on him, after their conversation, the Mangryo and leader York thought he had killed the old man with a mortal blow, but he quickly teleported behind the Yuk and snapped his neck and sent him to heaven. While Ja Gang is stabbed in the hand by the masked man's poison dart, whom he fights very arrogantly and thinks he will be harmed with his crippled left arm. But the situation changes when he himself becomes poisoned and starts hallucinating, that he moves very fast and hits him with many punches. Meanwhile, Ja Gang was actually standing still. Realizing that he couldn't hold on any longer, he rushed towards Ja Gang and aimed at his left hand. However, that same arm had been pierced with a poisoned arrow that pierced his heart. He decided to stop and consider the events of that day. Enough, because he was not at his best. In the central building, we ask all the workers to come together to thank them for their hard work. Must walk 20 steps and win over the sect leader behind him will see his feet limp. The coordinator orders him to be next with no way out. Rotting moving towards the main hall. We recognize the realm immediately, as the soldiers attack him, but the chicane quickly takes care of them. One of the leaders steps forward to fight the king one-on-one. He uses the monstrous palm weapon which can melt the enemy's skin and shoots it into the chicane, with quick thinking, for King to use a corpse as a weapon. Shield, and quickly countered the attack by stabbing the opponent's hand with 2 needles. We noticed that there was something unusual about the chopping skills, as they far exceeded what we expected. Being hit by the mysterious assassin, he was then subdued by the leaders and forced to lie down. On the floor, we used the poison mist to interrogate Ja Gang and find out who was behind everything. But the king refused to speak a word at that point. Leader Chu brought all the leading leaders in Unnam to meet with us. Both accuse us of being behind tragedy recently and demanding that he surrender to avenge his son. We, in a rage, grabbed Ja Gang by the throat and dragged him out. Seeing the angry crowd below, we thanked Chu for gathering all the trash he needed. To clean up, he said, "I will get rid of anyone who might get in my way, at any cost." Suddenly, as we held his rotting neck in the air, the king grabbed his hand and forced the poison in his mouth into his left eye, causing him to writhe in agony on the ground and remember the grave behind him. In the mines, the king shouted at us as our true identity. I deganged the genetics of the descendant of 100 flowers of the Valley of Sorrow. The effect: I am here for revenge. When the sky starts to rain, everyone is silent, and his face is very scary. Then he intimidated. Both were confused and didn't understand who had killed his son. When he was about to enter the main hall, to the high-positioned Kong warned him that he would die if he entered. The king turned into a very evil and vengeful person. Earlier he acted. He allowed anyone unrelated to Death Medicine Sect to leave the main hall. The Poison Sect leader insulted him and angrily started attacking him first. It was a one-person attack, then became a group attack. Inside the hall, vomit started to leak out in the throng, that being Kang's enemies, all are leaders with powerful and dangerous techniques. Although he fought back as much as he could, taking on everyone alone was too much. The king was eventually overpowered and defeated on the ground like his leader. To finish him off, we realized that there was poison in his vomit. He screamed for everyone to leave, but it was too late. They were poisoned, bleeding from every orifice. Suddenly suffocated, he died of symptoms of snake venom. Then, from the soul in the great hall, only 3 people remained. We came, and the other leaders confidently smiled. We knew that this kind of poison only works if it infiltrates the body, so as long as none of them enter, they will be fine. But before they could celebrate their victory, the other leader broke out in a red rash and started scratching the rot previously mixed in poison from the coat of ginkgo seeds to make the rashes on the enemy's skin, and it worked, just as he had planned the other leaders. Immediately, we couldn't believe he had been beaten by a child, so he used his signature technique to finish him off. Suddenly appeared and knocked our way through the ceiling and out into the courtyard. Only then did we realize that Mong was the real Dalang. Behind it all, we were angry and questioned Mong. About what he had done to Poison Sect, Mong told how a man was crippled and had left him blind in one eye like he is now. Boys and his whole tribe had been buried alive by us 8 last year. After digging his way out, rotting, has become a monster born, solely for revenge. Ming is so attracted to hatred, and hatred of the flesh, that he will not let anyone kill Rot except a desperate death he will bring to Ja Gang. Suddenly a girl with a covered face and a big hat appeared and urged Maine to end everything immediately. This girl was a master from Sichuan region, and we recognized her inner strength, being 100 times stronger. Then she interrupted their conversation. Chu asked Mong what happened to everyone's surprise. Mong confesses to killing Chu's son, and reveals that the fall of the mature military was part of his plan all along. Before the 2 men could be precise, Mong his revenge, and was able to behead Chu with his bare hands. The angry crowd rushed towards Mei, and then their bodies formed a circle around me. After finishing everything, Meng returned to the main hall to save Jakan. He put a needle in his head and used an unclogging technique. Crazy meridians to open the meridians in his brain. He wished the chicane a huge success and said that once Realm reaches the apex, he will be the one to push the chicane off the cliff, smilingly twisting the death of the greatest expert that we, along with many other poison masters and martial artists from various sects. Justice caused a terrible commotion in King Ho. At the Hogwang Castle branch of the Murim Alliance. Next, while Ja Gang has a long time, dreaming about what has happened, he thinks he has failed, but suddenly someone praises him for doing well, and a strong power wells up within him. The king wakes up and finds himself bandaged in a room strange. When Ja Gang wakes up, he doesn't know where he is until his former partner comes over. The man previously invited Ja Gang to stay over. After hearing the incident at the conference, the man came to take Ja Gang home, but when he was about to go find a doctor for the butchers, he suddenly fainted. The king realized he had contracted a skin infection with horse poison. He thought maybe the man was accidentally caught some of the remaining poison from his body, while bringing it home with himself. He couldn't let anyone else die, because he was determined to save. However, the man needed an antidote and needed a potion from a proper drugstore, because that would force Ja Gang to enter the village, which had already attracted the attention of the entire Murim Alliance. After that incident, as soon as he arrived at the village gate, his psychic powers suddenly went out. Control caught the attention of the 2 guards. Seeing Ja Gang unable to move, the 2 guards thought he was resisting them and prepared to attack him, but a girl appeared and stopped them. The guards claimed that it was their responsibility to check, due to the recent incident involving the Poison Sect. However, the woman appeared and incapacitated both guards with 1 strike, making they passed out for 2 hours. His martial arts skill was so fast. So that Ja Gang could not see his moves, he invited Ja Gang to follow him, and given the circumstances he was in, that he had no choice but to accept them. Arrived home and discussed the rumors surrounding the poison dragon belonging to the minor sect. Then came up with 2 solutions, making the poisonous dragon a member of the minor sect, or eliminating it altogether. The woman named Dan Run Kyung, the girl with unshakable truth, prefers the first option. The king is surprised to know that she is the absolute female general and leader. The decaying white flower sect elder asked, what should she give in return? He offered to teach her martial art techniques and provide her with resources. However, she declined the offer because she knew she was used as bait to lure others out, and he didn't like it. In response to the refusal, the woman became angry and threatened to kill him. In this critical situation, Chicane used her inner warmth to expel the poison from her body, and used the 12-needle thread technique to attack this woman. Ja Gang refused Run Kyun's offer, but Run Kyung said, if he refuses, there is only one result, that he is destroyed. The king activates the poison mist. Kyung attacks space with poison arrows, but he easily stops. The king uses his hand to squeeze face and warns that the ruse is too arrogant, so he has this result. After a few moments of threats, Ja Gang still doesn't give up his decision, so Run Kyung changed her mind. He said he won't hurt her, and he won't use her ruse as a trap. As you said before, the king realized that he was wrong and was too hasty to do it with Decay, so he asked the king not to cooperate with him, only to sign a contract with him, as the same subject space. Kyung will give to the sect 3 favors, as long as Ja Gang promises to Run Kyung something. But for the king does not seem to like what is said, but Run Kyun gave important news to the king. So that he agreed to carry out the king's proposal, we dipped 100 poisons. A poison that truly threatens one's life is one that affects one's heart and stomach and drives them towards death. The first favor that Run Kyung paid was medicine for poison, which was called extract powder and goodness. Second was power, because the Chicane rejected it. Learn martial arts skills from Ryan Kyung, so he won't tempt them to rot. But he will teach him another type of skill called arrow bullet splitting. Although simple, the king can't get the order wrong, and the last aid Run Kyung gives to king is information. He says that there will be many people who come to find him like this, and one of them is a very dangerous Yon. Rincon reminds Jacob to prepare carefully, because these people are much stronger than the enemy. Finally, he has destroyed Ja Gang. Chicago agrees in the future for Ja Gang to save the life of someone he needs, to destroy Ja Gang. After getting the antidote quickly, he came back to save her. But he was too late. The people mentioned by Run Kyung took him away. They left a letter which was a trap to lure out a ruse, to save him, and they believed that J. King would come to save his comrades. One team, but if King doesn't come, John would still destroy him, because this was a chance to prove his strength superior to other competitors. Finally, he chose to save him. Yon was quite surprised because Ja Gang was so young. He said that they needed to destroy the king, because he had destroyed many innocent people. To the king, saying that he only destroyed those involved for his sex revenge purposes, and he has nothing to do with gender, and he doesn't know who is behind the massacre. He wanted to take advantage of Jacob's distraction to catch him, but it rotted and evaporated, and made him angry. Realizing that Leon was losing his temper, Young Shen stopped him and solved the problem more logically. And now the Chicane can't retreat, no matter what it is rotting, using a loud scream of a key skill and destroying all the warriors. John was impatient with his way, so he directly fought with true strength. Ja Gang attacked and entered. Then he mocked the sect just for arrogance. And he won't be able to win. Yon King ran away after being injured. Yushin said, that Ja Gang was looking for a way to recover, so he chased Sect and didn't give him a chance to recover. Had found Sect hideout. He made fun of Ja Gang. He was just a person weakling who was trying to find a place to hide. But before, the Sect confidently said that he would destroy. Then, having said that the gap between him and the realm was huge, he learned the most perfect skills in the strongest sect, and the sect only learned trash skills from the small sect, so he couldn't beat Yon. But the universe didn't think so. The sect had crossed the line between life and death, and he was wrapped in the most perfect development in the environment, under the protection of the sect, and that by no means inferior gain techniques, and to use the moves that Run Kyun taught him. To knock you down, he gathered the locks on the tips of his toes and passed them through the heels, through the knees, through the center of his chest, and to his fingertips, especially when the sect didn't notice his body was undergoing changes, especially the meridians that had been blocked for years. When he unblocked them, shards of poison began to flow through his veins, completely tearing his body apart. The Kyun downrun technique passed on to him was Gale's finger generated by the locks circulating around the body. The poison shard that had been trapped inside his body flowed along with his psychic power and started to gather up to a point in his body. In other words, an enhanced version of the Gale poison, after splitting the arrow bullet into the vaporized sect attack. Jung Shin helped Yan stop the attack, and was heavily injured. Yan is not afraid of the new technique of the beast, because he uses an antidote. But once he uses it, he destroys himself. Dan realized that the poison the game used was a completely different kind. His mission is to protect, rather than destroy Ja Gang. Sect hates Pleasure Sect. Zhongshan is not as strong as him. Now they will surely destroy him, but now they apologize to the sect. Zheng Xin faints after begging for Ja Gang to destroy him. When Ja Gang destroys them, Jiang stops him. The sect has neglected them and focused on saving the sect. He feels very guilty for causing this trouble. The realm is about to leave, when Jiang encourages him to become stronger, and to protect his loved ones the sect brought the antidote. He says that the poison Yan got was not from him, and again will not be responsible for bringing them back. Later, after Ja Gang left, an assassin came to destroy Yan and Yong Shim. Even though he tried to fight to protect Yan, Zhong Xin was not his opponent now. Once Assassin decided to finish off, Zhong Xin's sect appeared in attack and threatened Assassin. Ja Gang threatens Assassin to give him an order, but Assassin does not know that, only taking orders from his superiors and executing him. Assassin knows he will still be destroyed, whether he completes his task or not. To Deep Sect find culprit behind Yongxin massacre says that Ja Gang's burden will be big now. Before Zhongxin leaves, he tells Ja Gang that whenever he faces Sect, Jagal remembers. 6 days later, Li informs him that Yan has died, and Quan is devastated upon seeing him. Yan marvels at the result he has produced as he hurriedly walks in Myeong, announcing that he has everything set up, and they prepare to go to Unnam Myeong. Left the map, and Rio was shocked when he saw 9 Diego Clan Castle Formation 8. A point on the map, Li uses it to destroy the wild. Asrio doesn't listen to Li's warning, and arrives in Sichuan, assigns his advisor Sim to carry out this plan from the start. Now Rio realizes his plan has not only failed, but made it easier for Li to reach his goal. Li is even more unlucky than Rio. Li was angry and warned Rio not to go overboard. Li again still forgives Rio, because he is precious to Li. To use him, he tries to convince Li not to destroy the game. Li wants to take over the whole world for himself, and warns Rio to leave his reckless thinking and listen to Li's orders as a dog. Then after he took over the world, he probably bestowed upon Rio a castle. Rio accepted his offer, but the fact that Rio is not interested in the castle and the world, most likely returning Rio is only interested in Tagon. Ja Gang goes to Nanji village, where he has to overcome this village to continue the plan his revenge. Ja Gang meets Myeong there. Myeong uses the Eye of Destruction and attacks you guys. But to escape from that, Myeong tells the sect that he got an incredible amount of blood on his hands because he is so young. With that atrocity, he took the life of Myeong's nephew. Myeong introduces him to Uncle Yan, and he came from Jagal to serve justice. After failing to get information from Jagang, Myeong is provoked by Jagang. He warns Jagang not to get confused. But this is trial or duel. This is the execution for the butcher. Since Myeong exposes the traps of the sect and the statue sect for mocking the banal, and he will not play a dirty game. Myeong says that the Ja Gang will be destroyed when he leaves Nanji village, and the Ja Gang will not be able to go to Sichuan because he will be arrested and jailed. In Jagal prison run, Kyun receives information about the Ja Gang from his subordinates, knowing that the Ja Gang will be in danger after destroying it. But Brent Kin did not expect that he would be chased by the entire sect. Ja Gang deliberately tired the Jiggle sect by letting them receive information every time Ja Gang wanted to leave Nanji village, which had cost the Nanji sect a large amount of food. The Daegal sect had to ask the Alliance for food assistance, and they promised that after capturing Ja Gang, they would cooperate with the Alliance to destroy Lesser. Sect's Run Kyung knows that this is just a trap, which the slaughtering sect has prepared to lure him in. But Run Kyun is not worried. He also prepares it for the troops to fight. Diego's sect troops are transporting food when they are attacked by other forces, which causes them to start wreaking havoc. The leader calms them down and prepares for battle as they quickly destroy their attackers. The leader interrogated a soldier who was behind them, but the soldier said he didn't know it had been 3 weeks since Ja Gang came to Nanji. The village every day he was just practicing his skills and was always being watched by the Jiggle sect. But the Diego sect didn't take any action, though this gave more time to practice. The game doesn't know what Jaegal sect is waiting for. Sect was on his way when he was invited by someone to watch fortune-telling, and he was told by that person that Medical Sect was working on their plan. That there will be a massacre in this village is coming because the news of the slaughterhouse sect chasing the gang has spread everywhere, and everyone is focusing their attention on the village. If there is a mob in the village, surely all the blame will be placed on the slaughterhouse. That's what people tell you. The sect that there was a time when decency and justice were widely followed in the alleys of Hose, a virtue to risk one's own life to fight injustice. There was such a time, but decades ago, after the martial arts alliance was formed, one man became the leader. Everything changed the leader of the martial arts alliance. Currently the hellhole he chose to manipulate. The different ideals and virtues of each group help unite Muram. Instead of excluding different thoughts and ideals, he seems to be talking about the greater good. But in reality, he creates a new world interpreted by people's gains and losses, following the logic laid down by the Union of Martial Arts, and gradually becomes the hellhole of hope. Just being something you can sacrifice, easily for greater gain, the so-called godly soldiers and the venerable martial sect went corrupt, and started agreeing with those ideologies too, and a world that the realm doesn't know exists anymore. It was only in the story long after the realm knew the true story. He wanted to stay and continue fighting. He wanted to witness the world that man said in his own eyes. The Medical Sect carried out their plan, locked the castle gate, and started to destroy the villagers. They saw the devil put up dynamite around the village. He activates the dynamite to create an escape route for the villagers, and guides the villagers to escape, along with his intelligence. Ja Gang manages to help the villagers escape. Wei Yong orders them to change their aim from destroying the villagers to activating the battle, which they have prepared. The army chief blames the sect as the one who destroyed, even though Ja Gang explains, they still don't do it. Believe me, they attack the sect. But with the current strength of the sect, easily destroy them without having to worry about the leader getting caught by the sect. He says that even if Ja Gang destroys it, Ja Gang's still surrounded by the slaughterer sect, and immediately destroyed the sect. Then he attacked the army from the roof. The sect hid in the smoke to observe them. He used the knowledge he learned to break the formation to defeat them, who believed that this formation must have a weakness, because it was created by the human. He chose to destroy every warrior, and then showed the uniformity of the formation. Then the sect realized that the enemy used the flute to announce the position of the 9-castle formation, and the 8 fronts are trying to trap the opponent in a circle. Endless fear. This formation which expands based on the enemy's actions, like a changing labyrinth, 8 entrances. These formations are not in the designated place. By continuously dispersing and repositioning, soldiers separate, according to the enemy's movements, 8 entrances neutrally formed, and continues to reform elsewhere. To split, collide, and circulate, it is really tricky circulation. The gears of this formation can easily find trouble. If the gears stop working, the formation user can find the enemy's position using this, and they slowly push the enemy to the place of strongest strength, and crush them there. Then the sect disappeared in their formation. Myung was shocked when he found out about the life gate that was inside the 9-castle formation, and the 8-front sect finally understood the formation. He found the life gate was inside Death Gate D, and Death Gate was inside the Gate Shadows. And now the realm is inside the Gate of Life, the blind spot of the formation that is inside the Gate of Death. Because the formation is always changing, so Ja Gang messes up by setting traps. While on run by reverse formation and hide behind soldiers, and to break them then move, Ja Gang manages to get out of formation, but to get Kwan's confrontation, when he exits the battle and Kwan comes to take revenge on Lee, he goes to meet Jinen. He knows something Lee has prepared for the slaughterhouse cult, and to destroy the slaughterhouse, but finds that Lee has let his emotions take over. During his search, and Janine reminds Lee about it, he is completely engulfed in anger, and regardless of the realm's explanation, Kwan still doesn't care. Wan attacks a sect at a very fast speed. The game doesn't react on time. Later he is injured after a punch. Kwan's sect receives another punch from Kwan. Despite trying to fight back, the realm is still thrown against the wall by Kwan. He is shocked by the incompetence of the realm, because the realm is much weaker than Kwan thought. Even if he just escaped from the formation, with this strength he can't lose to the butchers. The sect attacks Kwan to lure him closer, But Quan learns the tricks of the butchers, so he counters with a punch, but his hands are still wrapped in the chains of the butchers. The sect releases the needle poison towards Quan, swiftly destroying the needles and chains with his blade. Quan suddenly appears behind sect and attacks. During the game, Danger uses his technique to respond to Quan. Despite his increased strength, suddenly the last move of the beast does not cause any damage to Quan. Quan thinks that the beast is challenging him because the universe is hiding its true power against Quan. So Quan asked your sect to fight to the best of his ability. Shit! Lee also found that his disciple Quan was furious when he learned of this news, because he forced Quan to stay, and at the same time, blocked all information sent to Quan. But Quan still knows Lee, leaves immediately, fearing that when Kyung finds out that Lee is an adopted son, Backley's unnamed, he will come and destroy him. Ryo came at the same time. When Run-kyun arrived, he claimed that he called Quan and stated that his goal was Ja Gang. He wanted to work with Kyung, and they would both benefit, because Ryo knew that when Ron-kyun appeared, Lee Backley would definitely appear too. Lee has given so much attention to Quan that he doesn't want Quan to be destroyed by Run-kyun. In Ryo, sure, Ronkin also doesn't want to lose to Lee. The battle between Ja Gang and Quan becomes more intense, and they end when both of them attack and finish off the others. Quan destroys one of the sword's arms, thinking it is a victory, but the sect also manages to poison the Quan. For poison, the sect still does it. Not making things difficult for Quan, Quan continues to attack the realm, and with his current strength he can't dodge Quan's attack. In a dangerous situation, Run-kyun appears and saves him. The sect is shocked by his appearance. Quan believes Run-kyun is equitable as the butcher. His two enemies. Quan behaved disrespectfully against Run-kyun, so he taught Quan a lesson, standing in front of Kyun, Quan like a powerful skill. Quan in front of Ron-kyun did not spoil his youth, despised Quan as weak, but very satisfied with Quan's ability, not worthy of being his enemy. In the end, Quan was poisoned and fainted. He saw the attention of the realm, because it was not much better than the beginning victory, and defeat it was decided at this time, and appeared from the roof opposite the house. He read the killing intent, but Wei-young did not run away. Wei-young was angry at Run-kyun's arrogant attitude. Instead, he used it to stimulate Wei-young even more anger. King warns that if Wei-young stops him, don't worry. He replies that Sek soon surpasses Kyun, so current Kyun's run can't destroy him. Liang mentions Lee Backley in the past. The occurrence of the feud makes him angry, and Kyun attacks Wei-young. At this time, Ryo appears, and offering to help Kyun, Ryo says that even if he isn't as strong as Wei-young and Run-kyun, as long as he helps one of them, there is definitely a possibility. Runkin doesn't need Ryo's help, though Ryo reminds Ron-kyung to finish the match quickly. Since we are young, just prolong the time to prepare the formation again. Liang is furious to be exposed by Ryo, and Wei-young accuses Ryo of betraying the alliance. Martial arts to help the evil sect Ryo uses Quan to intimidate Wei-young, and demands that he withdraw the Medical Sect, or Ryo will destroy Quan. Meanwhile, Ryo is negotiating with Beyond for the sect to stick poison needles into his legs. But Ryo lost his legs long ago, so he wasn't poisoned. The sect is surprised that Ryo is still alive. Ryo tells the painful process of removing the poison from his body, that his desire to destroy the sect helped him overcome his predicament. Ryo says that the universe is still in his control, and all that he did to see the despair of the sect. After that, Ryo decided to take Quan, because only he can detoxify Quan, he reminds for his youthful goals. Really only threatens Bakeling, so if Quan is still alive, it will benefit him. And then, if he gets destroyed, Ryo took this for Ron-kyun. To finish, he also quickly ended Wei-young with Ryung Ultimate, instructed his underlings to retreat, and brought to Kang, to leave the sect nightmare. So he woke up now. The sect is in headquarters secret, the evil sect, Ron-kyung said, that he couldn't be alert. Even though evacuating a large number of villagers, Ja Gang still felt sorry. When it came to the main village, he did everything worse. By sharing his hardships, when facing enemy Wang Ryu of Kyung said, that sect was Ryo's memory, and being a sect had a very special meaning. To Ryo, Run-kyung said that Ryo was the one who destroyed the sect, and also created its power. Ryo helped the realm perfect the revenge process, and pushed the realm into crisis. But the sect didn't realize Ryo's obsession with the realm would prevent the sect from taking revenge. But the news that the sect destroyed the Medical Sect's 9 castles in the 8 front formations, defeated the valiant Phoenix and fought the dragon. Now people call him the Poison Dragon. In the vicinity of the capital of Sichuan, hung up the Rio establishment family. Brought Quan here, that man blamed Rio for bringing Quan to the Tang sect. While Li Backley suspected the Tang sect of being very dangerous, for the Tang sect, Rio replied to the man, if he wanted to study poisons, he shouldn't care, and Rio had contributed a lot to the Tang family, so they should thank Rio for helping them, and suggested that the world with its current situation should join the evil cult. Then, he gave Ja Gang time to think and left before leaving the room. Kyun reminds you guys, his sect needs allies now. The sect won't be strong enough to stand on its own, and gypsies are a tough and wild place. After thinking about it, the sect realizes that he is very overwhelmed in this match. So thinking about life is also a miracle for the realm. The sect meets its seer in Nanji village. He is Raja Run's subordinate. Yan looks at Lei, sect's condition, and guesses he didn't escape Nanji village safely. After all, he was pleased to meet you. Sect there, he also suggested a sect to join that person, and he called it because here people help each other live. After talking to Pion, Sect knows that Medicine Sect was the cause of that war about 10 years ago. They lost in a massive ambush to the Poison Sect because the attack was so unexpected that the Poison Sect was unable to fight back and was above the realm. If there were no variables involved poison, the sect would be in the position of the Medicine Sect now. That variable is the participation of the Sichuan family. In the family war, the Tang used their own secret techniques, poison arts and powerful leadership to help the Poison Sect that was on the losing side. And they gave the ability to launch counterattacks against some medical sects because of the family's involvement. It was the Tang who made the real difference. In this war, the flow of war led to the Poison Sect, which was started by the Medicine Sect. Then, fell one by one and were either annihilated or annexed under the sect Poison. The Poison Sect joined the Murm Alliance. Right after that, no one was on the Medicine Sect's side because they didn't want to be on bad terms with the alliance. The sect had no one to turn to for help, and finally faced their goal. The game gradually became confused. After heard the whole story about the Poison Sect, in the Medicine Sect he didn't know what to do. Rio next, when he was worried that Rio was looking after him, he would become a threat to their plan. But Rio explained that everything is still under his control. Then, he didn't need to worry. Rio said that the Scythes had many untapped skills, and they could use them to contribute to the Tang family. And Rio reckoned that if Li investigated the Tang family, no evidence would be found. Goodbye to everyone in the sect. Li Backley found Rio, mindlessly rushed to beat. Rio only blamed Backley for being impatient and attacked Rio again. Rio just counterattacked, when he found that Backley had disappeared. Then from behind, Rio Backley appeared, and performed a punch that engulfed Rio. The underground didn't stop there. Continued to attack Rio angrily, and asked Rio, where did he hit Quan? Then Rio explains that he brought Quan to the Tang family to save him because the poison Quan Rio contracted is incurable. Backley gets even more angry because he knows that everything was caused by Rio. Rio, who lured Quan to Unnam, and Rio, who released Run Kyung. Backley wants to destroy Rio. Rio, as Backley asked, will he destroy Run Kyung himself? And he is sure that just left the sect, supervised by others. They want third class. They were the Tang family, Amaze sect, and King Chen sect. They had cultivated their strength by barely keeping the balance between the three of them. And the butchers that would have caused a lot of commotion in gypsies recently. Definitely not welcome in Sichuan. They would investigate every movement of the sect. Half-day before, Sichuan, the king of Chen, summoned John to tell him some things about dragon poison. Then he assigned John, the 10th stint, to oversee the slaughterhouse. While the Wasak was in Sichuan, 100 exams and contemplated why Bakchan gave him such an easy task, but once collecting the poison left by the Wasak, he lost track. The Wasak and John panicked and immediately went to look for the sect. After he left, the Wasak left his hiding place and continued on his way. The game ended in Sichuan. He didn't plan ahead, so the realm didn't know where to go. Next, thinking about it, suddenly a voice was heard. He searched all the villages within his range to find the sect that amazed the beasts, and John asked permission to sit at the table with the beasts. Seeing that, and John was hungry, the Soja sect gave his food, And John then introduced himself and friends her friend, aimed to destroy the sect, shocked that he has disclosed important information to people he doesn't know, be it friend or foe. When Lynch starts eating, the universe reminds him that the food is poison. He is scared, thinks the sect is joking, but your sect is serious, and don't get me wrong, that even ninjas know that food is poisoned. More importantly, this poison was not carried out by the sect, but by the people at the table across from them. People from family introduce himself as Tang Risham family, but Risham is angry at John because he used poison in the area controlled by King's sect. Chang and Amaze's actions realize that the situation is not right. Sect leaves Risham gets angry and attacks the sect because he thinks Ja Gang has insults him, and John stops Risham's attacks and threatens him. Risham's behavior insults King Chen's sect, so he won't spare Risham, and he returns the attack to Risham. Risham's teammates quickly stop the attack before Chigang leaves. Risham warns Ja Gang not to show up. Then, he would not let the Unjan sect catch up. He wanted to go with the sect to supervise the sect. Otherwise, Unjan would be punished by the master, trained with the wall for another year, which was terrible for Unjan sect wondered. Did Unjan deliberately play, innocently, or if he really is, because Chigang is known as a poison dragon? But when he went to the side of Ja Gang, he was very relaxed and not afraid at all, he said. That because he had sect King Cheng to protect him, he didn't feel worried at all, which made Ja Gang jealous of Unjan. Unchan even thought that Ja Gang worried about him. So that when John was deeply moved, south of Guanji Gilan Mount Lohan Runkyun appeared. Rio waited for Runkun for a while. He took Quan with him and made Quan faint. Later, before arriving, he's just waiting for Kyun to wake him up. Run Kyung doesn't bring him to the sect as agreed. He announces that he is coming. Rio isn't angry, but he generously hands Quan over to Run Kyun. And despite his suspicions running, Kung still wakes up. Quan is just as Kyung predicts. This is Rio's dirty trap. When Run Kyun wakes up, Rio attacks Run Kyun and creates an explosion with poison arrows. Run Kyun's partner rushes forward to help him. But being surrounded by Jacob's sect forces, Rio continued to attack Ronkin head-on. He found that Rio had suddenly become stronger. He had wreaked havoc on his body and did everything to destroy the realm, which was Rio's motivation. After that, Ryo and Quan simultaneously attacked Ron Kyun, making Run Kyun unable to dodge. The current situation is very dangerous. Rankin lost an arm and was poisoned by Rio, and he is currently unable to use magic. If he doesn't want to endanger his life, Rankin's feelings that his strength was weakening, and they quickly managed to come to Run Kyun's aid. After releasing one of Kun's arms, he was depleted of energy and lost consciousness. Rio and Kyun now look pitiful. He urged Ron Kun to give up, maybe considering the situation, and Kyun was angry. He summoned strength to fight against Rio, even if he had to sacrifice his life. Kyung points out it's time to stop Run Kyung. He wants him alive, as there are so many people who need his help. After that, they jump into the sea and escape in Sichuan. The sect is annoyed with Yunjun, who asks the sect stupid questions, after knowing that the evil sect will be destroyed quickly. John didn't want the sect to leave, but before he could stop, for sect to sect through a bag of poison powder, and John caused him to be stunned by the sect's instructions when he came back to drink the potion, and then he got rid of it and used something to defeat the realm. John doesn't want the sect to leave, because many people will be destroyed, but becomes the eyes of the sect. If he doesn't come, the people of the sect will also be destroyed, hearing him say that they must be destroyed, because they are evil and the fire of anger in the rebellion. The people from the evil sect is more important than anyone in this world. The sect used snake venom to destroy Bell, so Unjun decided to use a more powerful method this time. 2 members of the Tang family also came to fight to their game, so they wanted to fight again. Grisham and Haran were shocked to see the butcher eat the blood-purifying viper. It was a mythical animal. Even martial masters would die from their blood boiling from within. Then, after being bitten by it, but for those who have mastered the poisonous arts, it was the best elixir. However, Unjan didn't want them to interfere in this fight, because it belonged to the king of the sect. Chang agreed, and he offered to speak nicely to the butcher. Then his run tells the realm he will help maintain the sect, and John returns to the sect and will drop help. Finally, after a while, he just follows the sect and doesn't bother. Ja Gang has been 2 hours since Chigang left and he's running non-stop. Even if it wasn't for it, Ja Gang is running desperately. Sect doesn't know where the big motivation comes from. He just knows that if he misses, he will never get it. Unjon's second time helps Sect, and he wants to bring the game to move, so he will go faster. Run Kyun and his subordinates managed to return to headquarters. They pretended to be in front of the door headquarters and were looked after by the guild members. After finding them, Run Kyun told everything. It seemed they didn't want to give up Kwan in the first place. Diego Sect was ambushed there before. And Kwan was on the same side, with Mangrio feeling Run Kyung is guilty. Because he didn't anticipate this happening, his comrades are furious. After hearing this, they wanted to start a war and attack the Jagal gang, but couldn't, because doing so was rash and dangerous. Run Kyung wanted to pack up and leave, and he was going to stay there to buy them time, but none of them agreed, because they, wanting to sacrifice his best for Run Kyung was touched by this loyal teammate, carefully left, and took one in his arms. But Jenin was disappointed. As Begley could only bring back one arm, he said he was very interested in the plan. Rio, and he went to meet Rios very carefully, not destroying him en masse, and he also joined the Merm Alliance to destroy the sect. Even though he changed his name to Wal Mio and is a Buddhist practitioner, what Mio Wal did was against his beliefs. Run Kyung, exposing Mio Wal as a Buddhist, but he is still in this fight because he still wants to slaughter others. Mio Wal still shamelessly justifies himself that what he is doing is only destroying evil and bringing justice to others. As the direction of Buddhism, Run Kyung warned about what to do. Food wool violates the three great Sichuan Pact. And because it caused the Wall massacre, Neil said that he was only a bystander, as long as Run Kyung did not use a fatal blow against guild leader Nanchuan Neil. The wolf would not participate, Mio angered. Rumkin she laughed evilly, and informed the Nanchuan sect later not to worry about Run Kyung. Fights break out enemies. Find shelter for those who are unable to fight in the guild Brun can no longer stand. Stay silent and watch his comrades get destroyed. He must overcome the walls of Neo to save his teammates. With incredible speed, Yewol injures Run Kyung in the first hit. Soso gets hurt trying to save another teammate. One of them is Sasoso gets beaten and stands up to fight. But because they are weak women, they are easily crushed by the enemy. Rum Kyung communicates with Beyond, so that he can save those unable to fight. But Pian is now trapped by Non-Tuan guild leader. Run Kyung is reminded by Wol Mio to pay attention to the match. He draws all his strength in giving a decisive blow to eat wool, but because his body is still poisoned, he can't use mule wool. Magic finishes Run Kyung. When the cult shows up to save him, it looks in the wrong direction, as he is too focused on revenge. So Ja Gang forgets to be grateful and protect the people around him. He vowed to eradicate those brutal people disguised as justice, and Nanchuan sect is one of the leaders. Nanchuan sect is also easy to handle by Ja Gang. Others also added results that are not much better. They finally realize that the game is the eyes of mule wool. The dragon poison flashes. When he sees the butcher and he changes his battle target from Run Kyung to butcher, Yo Wool goes out of control. The others run in fear when they see him go mad and slaughter Unjan. The others appear. He reminded one of the 5 precepts not to kill, which was a precept that Wolmio ignored. Unjan was so annoyed that the keep slipped away while he was resting and made him chase it down the alley. Unjan was shocked when he saw the scene in front of him. They borrowed the name of justice to destroy evil, but they viciously destroyed even the unarmed. Moreover, Neo Wool was originally a Buddhist monk. He was only allowed to observe, but he directly participated in destroying innocent people. Unjan was very angry, and it was still Wall, the 5 laws in Buddhism. Mio Wall warned John not to care about this, if he didn't want to get involved, but John still wanted to save the situation. So Mio Wool beat John with enthusiasm. Power Sect tried to attack me, but failed. Wall Meow Wall can save through attack. Butcher, despite using all the strength in his body, Butcher can't even stop the attack. Wall Mio Deganu poison powder to slow down Wall Meow, and he finds that Wol Mio's sword can't cut things non-lethal, which the sect was about to strike a decisive blow. When Wol Mio inhaled the poisonous powder, when she was knocked unconscious by Mio Wool, Unjan was worried when she saw Ja Gang was seriously injured. Ja Gang tells to leave. He will hold Wool so that Injin can escape. Sect tells the machine that numbers can't decide who is right or wrong, and he also tells the machine that there are fights in the world that can't. You back off so Alone from Yo would see their voices. He continued to attack the butchers, and John decided not to run away, but stayed behind to fight with the wasps. Sect couldn't avoid Mio Wool's attack, so he was slashed and injured by the mule wool. No intention to stop. He continued slashing more towards the Sect immediately. Then, after Mio Wool's sword touched Sect's body, when John immediately attacked me, Wool with working sound and Wool Meow was done to hear the machine sound. Made but Wool Meow shattered her own eardrum to negate the movement. Then Mio Wool moved to attack. She injured by Wool Meow's attack. While the realm is in despair and thinking it's over, Run Kyung transmits a sound to the realm. She asks him to use the healing crochet. After that, he will show the Sect one last move. The Sect appears in a strange place, where many powers gather and he has to solve puzzles to reach the power. That is, he has to find a way to get to the Emperor's residence of the Sect, see the shining jewel, and it contains incredible power. Decision of pure internal energy that had become part of his realm, where he was told to gather, and he answered the 7 treasure rooms. Jade, the 3 locations of danger, and someone, or ancient to the middle ancient, and passed down the ancient of the 3. The one that connects humans to the universe to get a guess, is an acupuncture point. But the Sect is wrong treasure room. It is where the Emperor's banquet is held. It is not his residence. The universe chooses from the middle, ancient and true Sect unleashed new source of power he is, much stronger. And now the universe can feel energy flowing through his body. Then, giving the final blow towards Mio Wool, she was very confident with her sword. Until the poison needle was in the handle, she pierced the sword and stuck in her eye. The situation has changed. The evil Sect's allies have come to their aid. Mio Wool also decided to run away. Himself and he will return to seek revenge in the next battle. The battle finally ended. The enemy laid down his hands and surrendered Run Kyung, ordered forgiveness for those who knew no guilt, and those who destroyed others were punished. It was the Sect's great voltage killing, because he helped people extend their time and helped everyone survive. Even so, Ja Gang feels very guilty, because he couldn't save everyone. Then, after all, he had helped countless people move on with their lives. And when they all chose to leave, on this road, they had to accept facing such a situation. After that, they quickly packed up their belongings to leave Sichuan, on their way to Sect. This also decided to accompany them. It had been around 10 hours since they left, but they had yet to meet any enemies. Fortune must be smiling on them. Unexpectedly, that Unjan had befriended the poison dragon, and he even fought Neo Wool to qualify for expulsion. He was frightened by the terrible punishment that the warrior said, because he only thought that his master was just punching a machine that trained with a wall for a year on a cliff. Was about to attack when from behind them, a Taoist Bukchan appeared. Astonished people wanted to bring disciple Bokchun to the Sect, after saving him because they think Gunjan is connected with the Sect, and they have to deal with it. Bokchan admonishes them, not only for acting escape from worldly desires by entering, but they also blame him. Bokchun uncovers the evil things the Amaze Sect has done and warns them. If they catch the train, he will not let them go meet Tang Chung, the head of the Tang family, who also controls Merm activities. This is a very sad story, where there is a girl who has no parents. That girl is named Yuhan Ra. She lives with her aunt, but one day, when her aunt was sitting with her, she immediately stated to Yuhan Ra that they could not afford to bear her life anymore. It was the economic factor that made her aunt forced her to leave her house. But after that, her aunt tried to talk to her cousin, so that Yuhan Ra could live with her. But her own cousin didn't want Yuhan Ra to live with her. Then she apologized because while she was living with her, she was a burden and a bother. Then she assured them that she would arrange for her to leave this house immediately. After she left the table, her aunt felt guilty for doing that to her. She knew it would happen, so she left the house. Later, she got a letter from her dead father. She was told about a survival game that can rebuild her life. The game was able to start her life over, and she was offered the chance to participate in a zero game. Later, she believed that the letter was sent by her dead father before her father died. They often took photos of the buildings they left behind to make secret hiding places marked with an X. Then, she headed to the location and found a card. There she was told that once she opened the door, she would be enrolled in the game. Because it was a survival game, so her life was not guaranteed. She still chose to enter thinking that it would be a better place, and she entered the hideout and asked, "Is it heaven then?" Suddenly a big monster appeared. It looked like it was eating a human, and there was a hand in the monster's mouth, and the monster had tentacles like an octopus. Then the monster caught Yuhan-Ra with its tentacles. She tried to escape, but the grip of the monster's tentacles was quite strong. Yuhan-Ra looked very resigned. Because she seemed unable to escape from the grip of the monster, she thought, "Is this the end of her life?" And then she screamed, "I don't want to die, and I want to live!" And after a scream from Yuhan-Ra, suddenly a man appeared and killed the monster. Then man assures her that if she survives those hardships, one day will come when she can be happy. She cries. She asks how will they survive this hellish game. And then she asked about how she used this thing. He explained that he bought it using life currency. She was advised that this game is the fastest way to acquire new life, and it can be used to buy items like weapons, skills, and challenge tickets. He added that they could continue through the levels, and the NPC would decide the game's task. He asks that she should be ready for it. And then he stumbled and pretended that he had exerted too much of his energy, and that was why his stamina was depleted. Then she panicked and asked, how could she help him? He replied, that it might be possible. If she joined him, he explained, that once they teamed up, they could exchange stamina and track each other. Other than that, they can complete the game together. She is instructed to touch the screen, and the system will do the rest. Even though she has some doubts because he has saved her life, she decides to help him. System activated, and they became a couple. He then pushed her away and asked her to die. He was about to attack, but she stabbed him, with her passive skill reflecting she could bounce an attack back at opponent once per 24 hours. And she thanked him for teaching her. She desperately wanted to survive and win the game to get her family back. She thought that she was able to make wise choices. They would form a great couple. Mr. Zero is surprised that 20,000 lives were given to a newbie, and automatically, which is an unusual amount. He asks for the user records of NPC Lida, and they come to ask about him. He is Baek Shin-woo. Then, she ponders, do they belong to the same gang? She told her to calm down and told her that he wasn't dead. She was confused when she saw him die. Because his passive skill is natural recovery, they asked HRT to take the lead so they can kill him. Yuhan-Ra claims that not being partnered with him was her priority. She led them, and he questioned why she came back, and not being surprised to see him alive, she apologized. But at the same time, he was attacked by a monster. Baek-san thanked her, and asked her to keep the stick, because Baek Shin-woo can't use his powers without a weapon. He said he warned her not to trust anyone, but she still believed the bullshit. To her surprise, she found that he already knew her passive skill, and she wondered why he did that. She plans to save him. They are about to attack. When she asks if she can kill him, he agrees, as he finds it weird to kill his brother. She steps forward and wonders why did he attack her. While realizing her passive skill, he smirks and says, he needed it, that's why he tested it. She returns the staff. Because she wanted him to take her to the neutral zone, he attacked the monster and told her that she will not regret. Chose his side. The brothers then fought. Lita appeared to announce first ranking change and told them the first place went to Yuhan-Ra. With 20,000 life points, only 4 players had. More than 10,000. And among them, only Baek Shin-woo lived with 120,000 lives. The operator did not anticipate her arrival. The updated rankings showed Yuhan-Ra in first place, while Baek Shin-woo in 5th. She received the Bangstone Khitan as the prize for first place. As per the operator's orders, she teleports the couple by force. They arrive at an unknown location. He storms above and gets the passive skill. So he wonders, is she the operator's daughter? She plans to enter the neutral zone and buys abilities there. He claims that they might get killed along the route, as hundreds of users will scramble to find them, to kill them, and earn points. He brings a changing device, a couple that changes their passive skill and makes it look like Yuhan-Ra, and he is Baek Shin-woo. They intend to disturb the NPC they made. The plan to take off from a different location, she disguises herself as Baek Shin-woo to enter from the front. She has to use her mirroring skills to kill the attacker they want to get to the shop. The ability of one Baek Shin-woo who has acquired Yuhan-Ra's body takes off from a different entrance. The last part will be difficult, because she meets Baek-san. He urges her not to tell him about their plan. She can't use weapons with both hands, so Baek-san finds that Yuhan-Ra is disguised as Baek Shin-woo. He attacks her and questions How can a newbie control his Baeksan's body has talent of shadow which disappears at night? They decide to arrive at 6 p.m. When the sun had set, Baek Shin-woo was disappointed because his body was much weaker than he expected. When he used strength like his own body, his leg broke even though the plan was delayed. He was grateful for his survival, Baek-san said. He wanted to have fun, but ran out of time. He wonders where Baek Shin-woo is. If he can't do it, he sure doesn't matter. He will die. If they do, don't turn back. Baek-san confirms that killing a girl without talent is easy. He has a plan to go look for Yuhan-ra. He wakes up and says he didn't die. Where is he heading? He made use of his natural recovery talent. He spent 10,000 life points in the ability shop to buy hidden abilities. She looked injured. So the shop and the PC offered her free items. It would cost a lot of LPS. But she would not regret it. He assumed that he had exceeded his physical limit, because he lost every shot. He did not expect Baek Shin-woo to change partners. He pretended to be strong, but his vision became blurred. He did not expect it would be that difficult. Perry attacked him. Using the ability of the gravitational field, he told him that Baek Shin-woo is in Yuhan-ra's body, and that's why he can't find Baek Shin-woo, distorting his gravitational field with the flame skill he hides, as Yuhan-ra uses a smokescreen to supplement energy into her body. Place ranker Baek-san wonders if Yuhan-ra's machine is what she's trying to buy. It's the ability to copy other abilities. He questioning why did he make her stronger than him. They really want to take him down, Perry. Asked him to take as his skill, useless at night. They both with full stamina, so she forced them to retreat. Using portal back, noise scroll, first tier. NPC appears to give general announcement to all users in Red Village. He claims that Battle Royale has been changed to mandatory event, called Capture Operator. He states that user the one carrying the operator will receive 1,000 lives. He sent a picture for the information tab for reference. Then Yuhan-ra told him that the man in the reference photo looked like the person who sold the ability. She went to visit the ability shop to find him. She went around to look for the operator. She saw an X. The operator was waiting for her because it had been 10 years since she wanted to meet him. She entered the room and called him father. He told her that he would be waiting for her at the end of the game. After meeting her father, she cried. He apologized to his daughter and disappeared after that. Yuhan-ra asked him that it was impossible to finish the game alone. He made the deal. He had many enemies. But if she became his partner, they would all become her enemies too, he clarified, that if he decided to keep the partner, he would do his best to help her. He locked the deal. She confirmed in that it was the law that an operator must act impartially because breaking it would bring him to justice. Before the NPC lost the experiment could make him lose his position as operator, she confirmed. That was the reason why her father suddenly disappeared since then. She kept quiet about what happened. That was the day she got the result of her ability evaluation. Baek Shin-woo concluded that she could copy 2 skills and endured it for 4 hours. Then he told her not to use her skills, because she needed to save her stamina until the end. She asked about the number of rounds in the game. He didn't know exactly, but the highest round that was completed was round 5. He said, 38 users. Besides Baek-san and Jay finished that round. They then went to the ability shop. Love owns the shop and turned on the skill ability, which they claimed they came to buy tickets. She gave them level 1 game entry tickets, she explained. That once they wore the tickets, their costumes would automatically change. According to the theme, Yuhan-ra questioned her about the capacity of the copier to copying NPC skills. She replied that it was possible she couldn't survive, and her body would be destroyed. They thanked her for the information. There was still 11 hours and 40 minutes until the start of level 1. The game he was so anxious that she couldn't sleep. He asked her not to worry, because with him, it would be child's play. Alice threatened Ava to pay 500 lives to return her sister, but she had no lives. So he ordered her to participate in level 1 game to get bonus points. NPC Noise asked the operator to change in level 1 game. He confronted him about killing his NPC. He informed him that his round 1 NPC had been killed by Jay. His wish is granted, and Mr. Zero wishes him luck. He is worried about them as they are now trying level 1 game. He wonders between them, who is Jay after? And PC Noise gives user information about rules in game waiting room. Game will take place in school, and they have to take 3 death classes from him. They have prepared poisoned lunch. For lunch in the first class and in the next class, they will take part around the school to test their endurance. They are surprised because the game was changed without prior notice. The third class will be carried out by the principal without being caught by the principal. To make Mr. Noise, they have to find a report card with their name on it. The student who completes each lap the fastest will get the basic, lunch basic, and basic PE books, and each book is worth 500 lives. All users are then teleported to Class 1. The NPC in charge of first class, she gave them all a strange tasting poison drink. In the nurse's office, maybe buys a book he wants to check on student council. He catches the boy. The boy attacks Yuhan Ra. She fires a beam while turning his neck 180 degrees. Alice asks Kate to be her bait. She uses a laser beam to attack them. It's so strong that they can't destroy him, but they manage to melt him using her abilities. After being surprised, the NPC informs the operator that certain use breaks the balance of the game. He asks him to dispose of Yuhan Ra and hire an electronics master. Alice asks if they may visit the nurse's office together. She denies, but she finds two girls in the same uniform cute. Eva offers her a bandage because she is injured. Then she thanked them for the good deed. They move to the third floor. They subtly observe the scenario filled in such a way so they couldn't pass them. Without being noticed, he told them that they couldn't pass because they would be caught. He said it might be possible if they distracted them a bit. He asked them to lure Kate. She intervened and volunteered, Alice told them. The two became bait for Yuhan Ra. Stopping her from ordering them like that, she questioned them about their skills and passive abilities. They all give a brief about their abilities. Kate's passive skill is hiding, and she can protect 5 people for 10 seconds. She believes it's not enough time. She asks him to take a chance, as they are good at gambling. And she is angry about their plan, she says. They didn't ask her to come along, so if she has any problem, then she can go by herself. Lita asks Mr. Zero about her investigation on Jay. She claims that a user has caught up with Jay before them. She uses Lum powers to foresee and tell him that Baek-san is after him, and as long as he stands firm, Jay can't move easily. They use Kate. Skill to step into the 4th floor hallway. They become visible to the student council members. Once the skill limit is reached, he instructs his group to implement Plan B and escape. Mr. Noise gets a warning that they go outside. They are shocked to see the mess. They reach the nurse's office and get vaccinated. After the first class results were announced, 27 users survived out of 177 because Yuhan Ra came first. That's why he was awarded a book worth 500 life points. NPCs rewarded survivors and asked them to rest because 20 minutes should be until the next class. She became jealous of them. She gave Joseph an order to drag her to an empty 2nd floor classroom. She asked her sister to pay 500 life points. For her sister, she begged for their help. Instead, he visited the ability shop to get some information about Jay. He advised him to wait 3 hours. Since he was still in his cool-down period, he believed that he could only win the game by killing him. Less than 500 life points, she asked her to exchange the book with her life points. In exchange, about the deal on the book, he urged her to make one about Yuhan Ra in 3rd grade assignment, using her passive skill, Fortune Teller. He asked her to find Yuhan Ra's report card. He assured her that Yuhan Ra would save her sister. The deal is done. She gives her the book as a token of gratitude. For the 2nd class, it starts in the lobby of the 1st floor. And PC Oliver's in charge of the 2nd class, he explains. The rules: they have to walk back and forth from the 1st floor to the 4th floor. The first person to finish will get the book, while the latter is about to receive a terrible penalty. Before class starts, Yuhan Ra and Baek Shinwoo use a partner. Instead, he tells her to follow Eva. Alice attacks them. She disguises herself as her and goes to finish the class scenario, which a trap tries to do. The trap stops her path. She is caught by them. Alice finds out that they have been practicing. A change of partners, she tells him to execute her. She tells Yuhan Ra that if she kills someone, she will get more points. She gives her an offer of 5,000 lives. In exchange for her release, she questions if she still chooses to give her 50 lives. Instead of giving her 5,000 life points, that will set her free. Alice questions, how can she pay? Olive notices that the small barricade was destroyed because of Baek Shinwoo's ability. She asks him about his location. he replies. She is in front of him. Yuhan Ra won first place as a result of changing partners. He punches her in the face. She asks him to look at the scratching. She gets angry and questions, why are they on the first level? She explains that she didn't ask for help. She just wants him to let her go and warns her that her passive ability might kill him. She agrees to let him go. He betrayed her, so he beat her. He then set the room on fire. He wonders why Yuhan Ra helped them. She said that they ruined everything. That's why she attacked them. She attacked. But Baek Shin-woo, who disguised as her, intervened and restrained her. They then headed to the lobby. On the first floor, they took the change. Mate, he told him, that he was the last in the class. To finish, the sisters thanked them for their help. Oliver announced the results he received. The book was as a reward for his excellent performance. He finished last. Therefore, as a punishment for his eyesight, was held until the end of the 3rd grade. The mission of the 3rd class was to find their report cards, which were generated around the school. They have to go to the broadcast room on the 4th floor and notices there is an error in the report card. He says that the game will be played throughout the school, and if any player leaves the building, they will be immediately taken down. Mr. Zero is pleased with his daughter's progress, and hopes he can find her report card quickly. They plan to get the item the NPC wants from the Blue Village within the stipulated time. From the Blue Village, he claims that if he imitates the NPC, Michaela's flying ability will gain speed, and they can finish the game quickly. And as punishment, he lost his sight, so he wondered how he could walk straight. The walls, as if they knew they detected him, a noise appeared and attacked him. He managed to save himself with his skills, as all the electricity was scattered by the water. He was unable to identify the man and ordered them to leave the 4th floor. The noise attacked him. He used his natural recovery skill to recover himself. He copied his talent and attacked him. He wondered, how did their physical attacks work on him? Yuhan Ra started bleeding. They escaped using passive skill hide. He dispelled fire and noise skills. Because she wasn't feeling well, she instructed Eva and her sister to find her report card. Until then, he would distract her. She questioned him 2 days before she told him that her ability was to calm down, which her future saw before she answered. It was private information, she warned him. That there would be bloodshed if she didn't behave carefully, she replied. That it would definitely be a bloodbath on the battlefield. She used clairvoyance's passive ability to find her report card, she said. It was on the blackboard in 3rd grade. On the 2nd floor, they say, the noise is very disturbing. She wonders about shouting the sentence, because it wasn't meant to be shouting it herself. She instructs the nuns to find her report card and shouts for her. She informs him that the noise is attacked. She wonders, who knows photocopier, even can copy NPC abilities. She remembers that she once said that it won't be a problem, because nothing would allow them to kill NPCs. She replied that she didn't believe anyone could do it. Since that was the rules of the game, he requested that she only visit the noise. After it ended, she couldn't recover her skills. She thought about what Yuhan Ra had done with her when they got there. She tried to distract him by talking for no reason. He didn't understand what she was saying. He bet that he can't defend. Hall 1000000V electric current. He gets anxious. Operator tells him that NPC is not invincible. He regains his skills. He takes their attacks as a challenge and gets angry. He speeds up to attack. But Eva stops him with a statement about Yuhan Ra's skill. 3rd class rule is settled. Yuhan Ra is the overall winner of all 3 competition classes. He receives 2,000 life points as reward for his best performance. He expresses gratitude. It's for their support. Level 1 game is over. Jay is informed that Baek-san contacted the love in the shop to track him down. Later, while giving them another book, they were ambushed by dark men watching them. He claimed to have seen the symbols on Baek-san's clothes. He questioned whether they belonged to Baek-san's guild. He confessed he had many questions to ask before he beat them up. He questioned his motives for teaching Yuhan Ra how to use his talents. For that, he may have been disqualified from the post of operator, which he did, because he believed that if he used his skill, the system would believe it was him and release him from wherever. Limits. He asked him to count the people in the park. He claims there are 9 people still in the park. He tells him that Baek-san used his skills to chase Jay. Jay uses it to his advantage. He tells him that Jay will disguise his guild members as Baek-sans and attack Yuhan Ra. And Baek Shin-woo, he will save them from imminent danger, and to gain their trust, Yuhan Ra is worried because their passive skills are on a quiet period. They are also outnumbered. Blue Moon teammates arrive. Baek Shin-woo questions if he joined Baek San's guild. He can hear his voice inside his head. He says, when they attack him, he instructs him to run as fast as he can. Because if they both died, Baek San would take back first place. He refused to let the guild members attack him. Jay pointed his sword at Eva and said that he ended up like that. Because of Baek Shin-woo, he earned his trust. That's why he didn't let him go. He claimed that he had to die. Because he doesn't need someone without abilities. He turns pale. Perry considers the two of them as his least concern. He tells her that Baek San, who partnered with him, was the one who exterminated Blue Moon. He becomes sad after learning that he told Eva to consider themselves lucky because she trusts them, which means they are worthy of trust. She asks if he is on Baek Shin-woo's team. She denies it and offers to join them. If he agrees, they will make them stronger. He agrees to be their supporter. They are worried to see Baek San instead of him, and questioning if they are in his guild. He agrees. Worriedly, Baek San claims that he doesn't accept jerks like him into his guild. He threatens to kill them. He calmed his team down because he knew that Baek San couldn't use his abilities at night, thought Baek Shin-woo. If they weren't members of the guild of Baek San, then who attacked them? Rosalind used her skills to execute the intruders. Yuhan Ra was imprisoned in a translucent box. She wonders how she could escape. Baek Shin-woo asks her 3 months ago why she did that. She claims that she is not the one who was exterminated by Blue Moon. Baek San replied that he partnered, changed with him, because he wanted to win the game, but Blue Moon might pose a threat to his goals. That's why he killed everyone by using him. He counted Baek Shin-woo as one of the obstacles that Baek San acknowledged, that he made him an assassin to prevent wrath. Blue Moon's death would end their grievances they had against him. Baek Shin-woo thought he was running out of time to get more time and was worried that he couldn't bring his weapon too. Baek San challenged him. Catch the stick if he can by throwing it. In front of him, he confirms that he can't give up despite not knowing his evil strategy. He intends to fight till the end. He forces him to lose the promised game. Baek San to take care of Miss Yuhan Ra. And the point is, she said she won't give anything. She contemplates how she can treat her younger brother. That way, she says Mr. Baek Shin-woo is useless since they are still alive. She insists that having her as her sister would be better. Rosalind finds it funny and starts laughing. Baek Shin-woo says he found a great new sister, so that he doesn't need a brother like him. Jay uses his melee shield to free Yuhan Ra, Mr. Zero says before becoming an operator in the game. He says he is a father. He claims that it will be difficult for him if he loses his job. But he adds one rule that will benefit him. Baek Shin-woo asked, did he help her? The NPC announced a new rule that applies to couples who finish the first round. After the match is over, the user is exhausted. So the winner of each round will be given that day. And to recover their energy, the NPC in charge will bring them home safely. Then, that the law is approved, Lita believes. That Yuhan Ra's bad luck icon has become a symbol of good luck. When they find out about Care Service's advantage, they escape using voice teleportation ability. Rosalind asks if Jay wants to discuss anything else. He claims that when he finds out that Baek San will attack them, he gets worried. She asks if they can trust him. And she is actually Gina. She is the leader of the Blue Moon. The group started to disintegrate gradually, and Baek Shin-woo killed her 3 months ago, and the Blue Moon was eliminated. Baek Shin-woo was shocked to see her, because he thought she was dead. He ordered a commotion to take them home. He apologized that Baek Shin-woo was aware of it. They are not members of Elijah. It's his fault he didn't worry about it, because it wasn't serious. He then held his face and warned him that if he disappoints him one more time, he will kill him. He then smirks that no one got killed and managed to confuse the two. He brought them with him. He considers hiring them as their support. Baek San introduces himself as a brother. Baek Shin-woo says, they both look alike, he says. They are twins. He pretends to be nice to them. Yuhan Ra thanks him for taking them there and carries Mr. Baek Shin-woo on his back. As he was unconscious, he realized that they looked alike. He asked Yuhan Ra if she knew the reason for the discord between the half-brothers. She answered in the negative, because she didn't know their story. She said they both suffered because of Baek San. She asked, what happened between the half-brothers? She thought Yuhan Ra would find out the truth soon. If they got together, She didn't expect it would be difficult to feign ignorance of what she meant to put Yuhan Ra on their side and defeat Baek Shin-woo. On the other hand, he tries to get answers to her questions. He says he doesn't have time to answer all her questions. He thinks she didn't tell him, because she doesn't believe him. She runs away in anger, because she thinks it's a waste. She is sure that there has been a dispute between the three of them. Baek-san entered his room through the window. When he heard a voice, he assumed that he was angry and tore him to pieces, asking him to calm down, because he has Baek Shin-woo's ability. But still he can't. Doesn't compete with her, she is there to talk. He questions her purpose of being there. He knocks on the door. She asks him if he realizes what is going to happen. If she sees him, she smirks and asks him not to let her enter the room, stop her. Then, rushed over and caught him. He did so because Baek-san's presence might cause misunderstandings and could lead to them fighting. He apologized because he got angry about a sensitive topic which he avoided, because he thought she wouldn't believe him and might leave him. He then went to plan their strategy. Baek-san offered him a deal. If he agreed, he would give her details about the game, including information about all the top-ranking users. He questioned this condition. He said he should ditch Baek Shin-woo at level 6 and join his guild. He asked if it was a threat, heard that it could be a threat, and when he challenged him to choose between Baek Shin-woo and his information. Then, she refuses to do something that doesn't seem right. She claims she won't divulge anything to him. She retorts that she doesn't need any information. If it means betraying her, she then tries to persuade him emotionally, and says Baek Shin-woo has 100,000 life points. When he enters the game hidden somewhere inside him, he is surprised to hear that she dropped a bunch of clues and instructs him to find the rest himself. He instructs Perry to complete level 1 game for their backers and do a one-time quick stunt on level 2. To that end, he pairs up with Eva and asks her to pair up with Kate. He admits to doing anything for her. They head to an ability shop on their way. He tells her he doesn't remember anything about her. She questions if he's just playing games with no ulterior motive. According to him, his goal is to rebuild. Then to copy his skills, they go to the ability shop. He instructs them to buy certain merchandise, and then he will allow them to copy him. Adding that to compete in the second tier, they will need a boss dagger with our chain blood. He offers them the flame skill and all the supplies for only 500 life points. Rampage is 100 times worse than Noise, but he is also the most irresponsible and selfish requirement of an NPC for level 2, where they need to get a challenge from the NPC, Michaela, and bring a dagger that they can get by smearing it with blood. Maybe the look of someone that players miss the most, or have a strong relationship after making players unsure. The chain devoured their spirit. They entered the field to go to church and to get a mission. Zombies attacked them. They used the product of exorcism if the beast was shot dead by him. Then right after they were surrounded by a group of zombies, he used a fire skill and ran to the safe zone. Zombies catch him, he intervenes to save him, but zombies bite him. They are told to get down by Ju Paran. To the best of his ability, he detects them and strangles them. He threatens him with fire to let them go. He expresses remorse for the assault. He questions if he knew about monsters. He tells them they are undead monsters, and Wilt is alive and they have turned into something evil. They should have bothered them to go to church. They also get the sword with blood. They question why they should believe him. He already has the sword with blood. He just wants to meet Archane again. Michaela questions if they are after Archane with that person. If there are only 2 of them, she will assign them a search, which they ask. Why did she put it down? She states that he has been hanging around here for almost 6 months and has got the sword to visit his late wife. He attempted to fulfill Archane's. He agreed to surrender permanently. If he allowed her to see one last time, he claimed that he had told her that he had already faded and fainted 15 times. He asked for their help to kill Archane, because if they killed, it would take him a week to respond. He would unlock level 2 within that time, and if they succeeded, the reward for that assistance would be a 10-year potion that could transform them 10 years in the future, or 10 years ago, for 24 hours. They could get stronger or weaker. He instructed them to take it to level 2 and finish it. He won't come back. He wakes up. He keeps dreaming about Housefire and his wife's death. Every time he falls asleep, he copies Ju Paran's talent. They inquire about his welfare. He expresses regret for imitating his talent without his consent. He explains to them how exactly to apply their skill. Instead of directing the explosion in a straight line, he instructs him to exploit his boost, he says. The nature of Electronics Master's ability is that electricity can help him climb walls. The reason he attacks him back is because he thinks Baek Shin-woo is a monster. Since he couldn't see any energy from it, he said, NPCs had no memory of before they died. Gina goes to the ability shop to meet Love. She realizes that she is after Yuhan Ra and Baek Shin-woo. A secret, he replies he wants to know. That NPCs and operators are invincible. He asks her purpose. Gina wants to recreate Game Zero. She plans to start afresh and to wipe out all NPCs and operators, and then she will become operator. With absolute power, she asks him to think if he is a living player. She slaps him and emphasizes that as per the rules, dead people cannot play the game. Baek Shin-woo thought the man was half asleep, he told them. That our chain is in cobwebs. In the end, from the funeral, he will be in the next room. But there is a mid-class monster in the street. He asked them to kill him, and stained his blood on the sword. He pointed out that it was actually the last chance, Ju Paran said. That Baek Shin-woo died in the outside world, and the dead became NPCs, so he doubts there is some kind of mistake. He claims there is a clear indication that Love is the operator. He emphasizes that Baek Shin-woo is an extraordinary case, and that he always steps in to save her life. They enter the monster's lair. The spider shoots a web at Yuhan Ra. He dashes to attack the monster, but she asks him to hold on, because he can beat it. He didn't expect he will run to her like that, Love insists. That he has nothing to lose and decides to kill Gina, rather than complicating matters, for the half-brothers. And if he stays there, Yuhan Ra will face a challenge. Mr. Zero intervened to stop the attack. Gina argued that he interfered with the game and revealed his whereabouts. He was sentenced to 10 days in prison. Because he caused damage to the player, he ordered him to return home, Yuhan Ra thought. That he can do nothing if he doesn't drop that thing from the sky, to drop the spider from the sky. He jumps to assault. Juparan asks, has Archnie turned into someone he knows? He will take care of it. He asks him not to attack him. They enter the room where Archnie is disguised as Baek-san. She rushes to attack, because she chose someone she wants to beat to death. The mirroring effect is not effective for spider monsters. She plans to run towards the spider, and then jumps on the ground in front of her. She kills it with an explosion. She doesn't know that she will get caught in the explosion. She cleans her wound with holy water, Juparan explains. That just stabbing it won't work. They have to destroy the core. Then he tells that the eyes hidden under his hair is noise. His center announces the result of Level 1 game. First-class winner is Kate, while the overall winner is Eva. He asks him to take them home and rest. He aims to prepare himself to enter Level 2. Yuhan Ra stains his dagger with Arcany blood, Baek Shin-woo says. It was stronger than he expected. He walks forward, but he changes himself. Then, he urges her not to interfere, because she believes Michaela attacked her Archnie. Asks that she show him her nightmares. She says that he caused his wife's death, and that she is handing her over to hell. She pretends to be Michaela, and asks her to die to make up for her mistake. He lets her watch the nightmares from him. And his ability stopped functioning. He was shocked to find that his memory disappeared instantly. He then believed that he really died. He told Juparan to collect himself, because he was still alive after being destroyed. As long as his eyes, he found that his energy core is a fake. The real core is the wall behind him. He got a reason, sure to kill him, and get out of there alive. He used his ability to tie her up, so that she could run into the wall behind him. She stepped inside and told Michaela that was the last chance to see her. She said that she was here and alive, because she cried when she realized that he came to that place only for her. Baek-san gave her Yuhan Ra, and stained her dagger in blood. She told him that Baek-san, Yuhan Ra, and Love became allies. She continued by saying that since everyone was after Baek Shin-woo's 100,000 life points, they would take care of him. They have 6 spare swords with blood. They plan to go to Level 2. All close to him, Baek Shin-woo questioned, did he really die? They agreed. It was true, he wondered. Did he admit it too easily, he said, that he had witnessed with his own eyes, that people who died could be in the game. He told them that Level 2 would start tomorrow. Yuhan Ra offered him to come to Level 2. He accepted as if they were fine. He asked, is he dead? Is he okay? By continuing to be paired with him, he said, he died, is not a hindrance for them to become a couple. Michaela instructed them to bring the holy sword to the entrance of Level 2 at 8 p.m. She gave him 10-year potion for stage 2. Everyone gathered at the entrance of Blue Village. He gave her the best ranged shield, which she prepared a ranged scroll for, as she knew she could only attack at close range. He assured her that she would use it wisely. Michaela Level 2 served as their leader to Hell. It was a team battle, and 23 teams participated in it. She imprisoned her in the dungeon. Then he asked why she was provoked by him. She replied that she only wanted to help them. Map and only 4 teams that find them qualify for the next round. If they can't find them within 2 hours, they are eliminated. Those who get the stuffed toys cry, and will be rewarded with 500 life points. Then, he ordered to enter the door with 1. After collecting toy dolls stage 1, level 2 started. 2 of them obtained. He suggested splitting up to look for toys because he has no skills. Whatever search he was worried about because the place is very big. He wanted to go around G because of the passive skill clairvoyance. He was surprised to see it. 1 hour later, Bake-san chased the toy and released it. He runs to catch the toy. When he enters the room, he is about to fall into the hole, but he manages to do it. Holding it, Bake-san caught the toy and thanked him, but he dragged him into the hole. He said he has joined Bake-san's guild, but Yuhan-Ra was sad to hear that he was listening to their conversation silently. He gave Lucifer's red toy. He was frustrated to see it, that he asked her to take it as her gratitude, and asked him to keep it a secret from Bake-san. He was very angry at her because Bake-san wanted to break ties with him. He was bullied every time. That's why he got scared of people, because their sneering and whispering stabbed him like a knife. Bake-san once gave him a band-aid, because it was the first kindness he ever experienced, so much that he felt like he was going to cry. He threatened him by brandishing his staff. He questioned, did he feel remorse, thinking of killing him twice? Bake-san grabs his collar. He asks, does he realize how it is, to their parents? And he replies, he doesn't know what it's like to enter the game. He calls him stupid, and forces him to say that he changed 100,000 points of his life to him. He emphasizes to him that Bake-san instructed them not to hurt Yuhan-Ra. Then he considered eliminating her, instead of losing his partner. He questioned, did he know that Baek-shin-woo didn't do anything? Then why did he still join Bake-san, he wonders. Did he like her? He accepted and got angry. Because he thought Yuhan-Ra would laugh. He wonders, did he ask for life points? He must have given the stuff inside her. That's why he didn't kill her. However, Baek-shin-woo punches him and states he can win the game on his own instead of laughing. He appreciates it and clarifies that he is not interested in pairing up with her. It is completely his decision. He expresses regret for misjudging him, and Ms. Love says the same. Yuhan-Ra becomes sad because she didn't anticipate it. She plans to become invincible by giving her life points to him and using her skills on the toy doll. Juparan holds the yellow toy doll because she killed everyone. The toy is frightened. Gina calls her for help. She knows that if she avoids eye contact, she will. Because his ability is mind control. Because of the smirk on his face, the toy states, that's not a good idea, he questions. Does he have any wounds? He uses a mirror and starts looking at him. He takes control and orders him to kill Yuhan-Ra. He takes the toy from her. He asks his guild members, did they retreat here? He wants to make them pay for the humiliation he suffered that day. He suggests that instead of using life points as bait, he can ask him to kill him. She urges him to move on, if he can, and they will see where it goes. But they schedule it together. After they get out of there, he grabs the toy and runs. He plans to meet Love. When the game ends, the toy, doll cries, then explosion is taken by Kyle. Jay gets the toy, but leaves the game. Baek-san gets the toy, doll cries. While Yuhan-Ra obtains a Lucifer doll toy, and is rewarded with 500 life points, the second phase begins immediately. Michaela asks them to decide who they want. The battle against Baek-shin-woo's team is selected by both teams for PvP. Kyle and Yuhan-Ra are selected first. The winner's team will compete twice. While the losing team will be eliminated, he teleports them to the World Tree Field, PvP location. Whoever picks the Lucifer fruit will be the winner. The winning monsters will be present along the way, and killing, disturbing, and stealing are all allowed. Losing speed and losing the ability to use his hands, he is sure he will win. He enters Zone 3 with one time using wings. While Yuhan-Ra is still walking to the end of Zone 2, a huge mutant suddenly appears in front of him. He goes to get wings. After reacting to the blood on his hands, he is disappointed because he has to walk to the top. He uses his ability and executing monsters with a dagger. When he arrives, mutants from Zone 2 appear in front of him, and also his body slows down, and he can't use his skills. He tries to test his luck and uses 10-year potion. Potion disappears from inventory. Because he uses it, Baek Shin-woo believes in his luck. She is shocked as her blood starts to come back. She tries to track him down with her passive ability, but he attacks her before she can. She is under the effect of 10-year potion. Michaela is happy that she used the potion she gave her to make herself smaller. If the situation didn't work out, she might have crushed her hand. Baek-san ponders which potion she consumed. Since she is getting younger, she thinks that he looks very familiar to check on Jay. He apologizes to his squad and plans to lose the game. He is shocked after seeing the younger Yuhan Ra. His nose starts bleeding. He turns his blood into a sword and attacks him. He assumed that her lightness made him faster, since he couldn't keep up with her. So he planned to finish them soon. He caught her leg, but he lost her leg. Because they arrived at the last zone, he was smaller and faster. He got the fruit and became the winner. Baek Shin-woo was sure that he had seen him somewhere. He believed the game was getting ridiculous. The news that Baek-san lost shocked them. He offered Kyle to join his guild, and the deal was done. Michaela teleports them to the Garden of Lucifer. The third stage, she transforms into the third level, which will take them to hell. She explains the challenge of the final stage, level 3. They can either finish the game quickly, the demon's malignity, or end with virtue. Their goal is to kill the demon Lucifer, who was raised by a child. He can be killed if the traitor who revived him is killed with the sword covered in holy blood, or they can work with the traitor to weaken him. He explains that the traitor is a boy with white hair and red eyes. He sends them to find the traitor and asks them to make him fast, as he can deal with him. He then goes to confront him. He asks that he can stop him, so he has to kill the kid. In the end, he dashes to attack on the other side. When they hear a sound while searching for the traitor, they rush to see him. He crawls in through the tunnel. Then questioned by Mika who she is, and if she was there to kill him, she says that despite being injured, she doesn't have the power to stop him. She asks what will be left if she uses everything. To catch Jay, she urges him to play smart instead of hard, because she warns that once he becomes useless, he will die effectively. She tells him that he is still alive because of his 100,000 life points. Baek-san marked him because he didn't want to see her die, but now he changed his mind, she tells him. That it's pathetic and stupid to be kind in such a place, he asks. Did she ever rely on them? She replies, cured negatively. Then why should they stand in her way? She claims they instructed her to exploit and betray individuals. Unless he can no longer hold on, he insists he cannot sin and will live without guilt. One thing he learned from Yuhan Ra is that being good now is always stupid. Even when his skills are erratic, he observes and helps others, although some degree of cunning is required. He claims that the degree of evil he asks is excessive. He believes it is a weak defense, as his experience is insufficient to back up his claims. He is lucky enough to be given another chance to live. He wants to live the life of a human. Mika thinks he is stupid, believing him that the only way to revive his parents is to resurrect Lucifer. Warns him that it might put him at risk too. She counters that they can work things out together. She tells Baek Shin-woo via telepathy, Michaela says. If she wants to play humanely, she has to prove it. She brings what is necessary to break through Lucifer's defenses. She cheats with her blood. Then, a sparkling boundary surrounds them. The villagers wonder, why didn't he kill the traitor? He has to right the wrong. Mika reveals their attack. They throw stones. He is injured, but sure that they will fix everything. With him ensuring that he is not alone, the residents curse them with attacks to keep them safe. Ju Paran uses the long-range shield, he asserts, that those who have no authority have not demanded the right to punish someone who is innocent. He insists, even if kids do something wrong, they can let it happen, because they have no right to judge him. He takes care of them with his strength. Then explaining that they couldn't step inside after the last attack, he used his passive skill to recover his body naturally. He then summoned a red toy doll and gave it to Lucifer. He gained immense strength. He attacked him with the Lucifer doll toy. He reminded him that once he uses the fruit, He is obligated to take it down, regardless of the circumstances. He questions if it's worth it. Maybe if both of them can reduce his strength, he expresses his gratitude to the two for helping him. They then intend to move towards Baek Shin-woo. He is suddenly hit by an arrow and falls unconscious. He taunts him that the choice he made leads to an end. Unexcitingly, he cannot understand what he is talking about, and they try to wake him up. He is shocked by how evil the crowd is and angry at them. He begs her to beat Lucifer. They are utterly desperate. Yuhan-Ra accuses that he started the game, believing that he can do anything to bring his parents, that he can even kill anyone. But his mind keeps stopping him from doing such evil deeds. He questions, why is it so hard for him to decide? Then he told her to walk the path that she thought was right. And in order to believe it, she thanked him. Because of that, she couldn't believe that he would leave her and go by herself. As she said, it might lead to serious misunderstandings. She questioned why he didn't ask for help. She apologized and stated that she never had anyone to ask for help. That's why she was used to it. He assures her that he can ask her for help, as she will be there to help. He ostensibly is there to hinder them. Vincent thinks he is saying he can't, and lets her interfere. Baek-san questions, why is he still showing his loyalty to her? Despite knowing that he had attempted to exterminate them, he changed. With Baek Shin-woo, he did not kill them, remaining even if it would cause him trouble. Because he did not mind being controlled by him, he asserted that those who disobeyed him fell prey to mind control, and out of 188 members of Blue Moon, 170 were under his control. They ran towards Baek Shin-woo. He asked how he got those wings. He replied that he had consumed Baek Shin-woo's fruit. Ju Paran tries to get his attention as he attacks him, but he destroys his sword. Yuhan-Ra attacks him with his fire skills. Baek Shin-woo blocks him from behind, while he rushes to attack him. They exterminate Lucifer with the Holy Sword, Michaela says. That they overcame difficulties and risks through a generous way. She gives them 1,000 life points, and congratulates them on completing level 2. Then, he threatens her not to dare to defame her. She goes on to say that her loyalty is genuine, and it's not mind control. Baek-san wonders if she had a momentary memory loss. When she was with Jay, she confirmed. When she used her ability, she ordered her target to forget her. So memory, Vincent says. Why is he telling him now if he told them before? He says. They won't believe it when he finds them. There is a shadow of uncertainty, he says. How dare they doubt it? He states that losing again is unacceptable, and that he will not allow the red moon to fall as a blue moon. Prior to the start of level 2, he appears before Michaela to inform her that the game system has issued a warning predicting that she will die. Clearing level 2 without killing her, then she will not choose the path of destruction. But if they end up killing her, then she will be free to do whatever she wants. Michaela agrees to the terms and leaves to start level 2. They are teleported suddenly. Mind control is activated and she chokes him. He confirms her abnormal condition, and that she is under mind control, and Baek Shin-woo rushes to save her. Suggesting that he might have intended to kill Ju Paran, to save them and perish, and also to atone for his sins, he reasons. That's why he called him there. He says he needs his strength. As the operator, she asked him to choose the 2 most serene NPCs, to which he questioned whether she was considering a way to stop his death. He asks her to separate. He shows her the red capsule. She cannot believe that he will leave her and go alone like she said. It might cause a serious misunderstanding. She questions why she didn't ask for help. He apologizes and states that she doesn't have anyone to ask for help. That's why she is used to it. He assures her that she can ask him for help. As she will be there to help, he gives her a recovery potion capsule. Crimson's condition is on the other hand. He has reached his limit, as he is badly injured while crying. She asks him to die. They come back as they won't let the 2 die, he says. They will knock Ju Paran down. He adds that they only need him when he faints, and to tie and wait until he is free from mind control. He asks them not to make his dream come true, that he could be happy. Yuhan-Ra used mirroring skills to guard against Jay's attack. She, with an evil grin, said that the scenario was so perfect that it made her cry. Baek-san's guild questions. He shouldn't help Yuhan-Ra's team. He says they will move after Jo Pran or Michaela is dead. He said before that they don't need to waste energy on this. His response surprised him. He thought it was a smart thing to recruit Kyle. He was waiting for anger. Yuhan-Ra was stabbed by him. Baek-san wanted to know what his hidden ability was, but if he helped them, he could never find out, and there is no better stimulant for his anger. His last words were that he wanted to see it. Unrestrained, she burst out laughing because that was what she was waiting for. The operator asked for help from Lita and the noise she planned to perish on her own, even though they promised to help her question why she did it. Mr. Zero suddenly appeared. He declared, it was him supporting the two. When urging them to win the game, the operator announced that due to the change of NPC, Game 2 has been closed for 2 weeks, and all games were also suspended, he says. Michaela is the biggest obstacle to rebuilding her life, and is punished for killing users, which she considers if she kills them all, she can get the operator in no time. In his despair, he thinks about what is the use of having strength and ability. He calls himself a coward. Then, waiting for someone to help, he asked Baek Shin-woo to help him, waiting for him to say that why he asked for his help. The rank change event has happened, so until then PvP is suspended and all users must return home. He rushes to attack Jay, orders him to kill. He tells the operator that Michaela has sent them home, but they come back and gather there themselves. Mr. Zero cancels the forced return in the PvP suspension, but the NPC will oversee the situation and will stop the rules. If there is any other change, he says. If Jay survives, he will be summoned for short conversation. Yuhan-Ra used the ice class on him and stated that he would not go easy on him. He wondered how he could replicate the skill so well. He then used the fire skill he had. There's so much to say, but it seems he's deliberately wronged others, so he plans to say nothing. With anger, Vincent doesn't expect it, and thinking he should be prepared for the attack, he questions his health. He says it's unbelievable that he defended someone like him with his life. He asks if she's trying to frame him, and then that he had sacrificed himself to save them. When they first entered the game, he questioned, then how could such a great person laugh when his teammates had died? He had no answer, so he asked to get rid of him. Yuhan-Ra suddenly started spewing blood and was about to fall down. He rushed to throw his support, then stabbed her and said, if he didn't appear with 100,000 life points, he wouldn't have become such a monster. He claimed to be the one who was killed by Baek-san. After he found out about his plan to kill Gina, he was Jay, the ghost risen from the dead. He urged him to give up his life points. Baek-san appeared among them. He said if he was 5 minutes late, Yuhan-Ra would die. He ordered him to detoxify the area where he was stabbed, and asked him to take care of him. He was very angry, so asked him to back off. He offered to make a White Hound alliance with him. He said that they all have the same goal. He ordered his team to take care of Jay, so that he can no longer manipulate mind. He said, if Baek Shin-woo is fine with that, then he will enter. He said he will look forward to their cooperation. The operator said, he knowing about his evil plan to take over the position, he warns her, if he harms her, he will be kicked out of the game. Because he didn't want to get kicked out, so he claims to remember it. He wonders why the system put a commoner or a father in that place. Because the alliance was formed about 2 weeks. After past Baek-san went with his troop to clear level 2. After NPC level 2, the game was finished selecting and the game has started. Yuhan-Ra's body was badly damaged and had not woken up for 2 weeks. He went to check it out, but he was surprised to see a barricade in place. A letter from him telling him that he visited the ability shop caught his attention, mentioned not to look for him. A girl buys identity change tickets at the ability shop. While she is away, she has a brief interaction with Yuhan-Ra. She is a new face, but he seems familiar. She asks Love, have they ever met outside of this realm? Since her mother has the same name, she hugs him and expresses regret for not telling her sooner. When she realizes Love is her mother, she cries. She confesses her love and longing. He asks her what she said. She hesitatingly admits. She asks him to be her spy. She gives him a chance to show her loyalty. She forces him to die if she ever betrays him, and erases that incident from his mind. Later, she recognized her confusion as a symptom of mind control, and realizing that Baek-san was telling the truth, she then confessed to doing anything for him long ago when her parents were young. They were a sweet couple, and the family had a vacation in the valley. When the water level rose due to a typhoon that her parents dropped into the water, and to save 2 boys they met in the cabin, and they managed to save one of the brothers. But the boy and his parents were carried away by the swift current and the trees down the valley. 2 weeks later, Their bodies were found in the river from then on. The boy's parents visit him on every birthday of his deaf parent. Instead of Michaela, Michael is the version of Lucifer with Michaela. He tells her that he has been upgraded to a level 2 NPC. He is relieved that it has a happy ending, he questions. Does he know about Ms. J? Because he only knows that her ability is a mind control, and he is the leader of the team. He tells her that Ms. J used an identity-changing ticket which can change not only identity, but also appearance. Gina and Jay are two different people. Gina is cheerful and has a unique personality. The reason she entered Game 0 is that she has stomach cancer. She is bedridden because she doesn't want to destroy her team. Blue Moon member Jade Lin offers to impersonate her, using an identity change ticket to show everyone that she is healthy, for fear of her members fighting each other. She immediately agrees, and that is the beginning of everything. Gina calls them and urges her to change her passive skills, and asks for her help. As an operator, he realizes that Jay will continue to pretend. Even after he dies, he asks him to protect them, who he loves and who loves him. He also emphasizes paying special attention to his half-brother, because he doesn't want to see him succeed in taking 100,000 life points, Baek Shin-woo. He disguises himself as Gina, and states that someone started a rebellion in his guild. Then, ordering his members to find the traitor, a black-haired man started suspecting Baek-san, including his closest people, to answer, and asked Baek Shin-woo for help. He asked to pair change with him, and to avoid other players suspecting him as a traitor. He agreed. And after he beat him and knocked him unconscious, he asked Perry to take care of him. He changed his life points to personal items, which changed the first-place ranking to Gina. Lita announced the change in first place, and transferred the reincarnation stone to her. And then he plans to take Baek Shin-woo's life points, because that will make him invincible. He appears in front of him, when Baek Shin-woo realizes that he has changed partners and laughs at his stupid attempt. He smirks and activates his shadow ability, using his limit break skill, and conjures. Shadow Monster tries to attack him using mind control ability on him. He can't move his body, he remembers. That's why Gina asked him to change passive. He can control the designated person. For 3 minutes without even making eye contact, he beats him. And questioning, how does it feel to be defeated by someone who he thinks is weaker? He says that he is not weak enough to be overcome with inferiority like him. He gets angry. He smiles that he wasted those 3 minutes without killing him. On the other hand, he wakes up, and there is release of the couple. Suddenly the force and they return to their bodies. He finds out that he is Baek Shin-woo, so he fakes all the scenarios and blames Baek-san, that he killed everyone because he wanted to take over the force. He is stunned to hear that he gave his support to take him to safety. Gina betrayed them, but he thought Baek-san was the culprit. Then, he attacked him, and he died. Operator X appeared and undone his death to bring him back to the game. Miss X asked him to rest. He was very angry and urged to explain what happened. If she told him that it was obvious he was going to do something dangerous, and she didn't want to see him die, she then paired up with Perry from then on. They had become enemies. He couldn't believe that he had lost her. He planned to steal her life points and believed in making Blue Moon whole again. Then a Red Moon, he tells the whole story. Vincent expresses interest in joining his team, which he accepts. He senses that despite knowing he still lets him in, he and Perry plan to visit the ability shop to change the man's hair and clothes. Some people try to enter the shop. He stops them and states that they are closed. They insist on going in. So he beats them up, but doesn't let them in. He gets there and taunts him that he has made new friends. He is late, so he quickly thanks him for sharing history. He wants to stay longer, but he only left a note, so Baek Shin-woo must be worried about him. He asks him to feel free to come, as he is always welcome there. He expresses his gratitude. He comes out of the ability shop and is completely confused at the sight in front of him. He punishes her for not telling him. Before leaving, he convinces to tell her next time. He reveals that he made an alliance with a top-ranked player. They freak out and rush away. He questions, who is behind? He reveals that he is their new ally. He scoffs. Who is he to anger? He has already completed level 4, so he makes a pair and plans to play as a team, which they gather in his base. And while others go to eat, Baek-san sits alone. Then he comes and asks, did he see his appearance? When he consumed the 10-year potion, he never went to see him for the past 10 years, because he didn't want him to stare at him with hatred. He wonders, did he not push him into the water then? Then the three of them might run into each other. He then inquires about the well-being of their parents. He replies that they seem fine, but not even time can heal the wounds they left on the day he died. He reminds them that the operator should have explained to them. After they finished level 2 at that time, Mr. X appeared in front of them and said he thought that he was working hard, but there are many things he couldn't do with his authority. He heard his father and half-brother talking. He questioned how the invitation could come to him twice. He replied that when he first received the message, he tried to go there, but the door was locked, and the second time he was only able to join partially, because the door was closed behind him. According to Operator, a new user was formed using Baek-san's memory to fill the void. Baek Shin-woo appeared as a user. He gave him a chance to live as a user or as an NPC, and he chose to become a user. Baek Shin-woo questioned whether he really died 10 years ago, while trying to save 2 boys from a river. He could not believe it, and questioned how he knew. That he replied by saying that he could now clearly imagine the face of the person who had saved him. He admitted that what he said was true. He wanted to ask more questions, but the operator was not allowed to talk to the user. After wishing them luck, she disappears. He questions what it was all about. He says his parents died because he asked Baek Shin-woo to come in. Despite not wanting him to step inside and scream to stop treating him like a child, he asks, does he hate him? He does, but he can't say it. Then they called for help. He jumped out the window and went to check. They started watching them secretly. He whispered something into her ear. He was surprised. He was sure both of them would be fine without him. In the operator station, he told him that the game system was among one of the NPCs. He asked a question, and the sister was walking way outside. She suddenly coughed into her hand. She was worried about him, but he assured her that everything was fine. He hid the blood in his fist. He reported to him about Kate's weak health. He asked to keep updating someone with the red cloak, and then appeared in front of him. Jay questioned if the sick girl would help. He asked him to keep the promise. The girl threatened him with entourage of fiery red skulls, and asked him not to worry while he was trying to make the operator. He questioned that she went to report him, and he asked, did she already know? Then why did she ask? She discussed the strategy for level 3. She said the next level would be siege battle. She brainstormed some strategies. She took a paper from her hand and said, since Vincent is on their side, they don't need many people for defense. He believed Baek Shin-woo's strategy that surprised him. He felt uncomfortable seeing their trust in each other. He apologized that he didn't want to sit by and watch others die. Then her eyes turned red, and suddenly a distress signal appeared from the operator's room. Someone forcefully covered her mouth, Red Robe Girl said. She discovered the system and said who dared to touch the system. A stranger floating in the air told her that she was dead, and was given the choice to become an NPC at Mr. X's request. After a moment of contemplation, she agrees. He asks about the stranger's identity. She replies that he is a game noise system. Zero stands up and assures her she is fine. He questions if she is hiding something. Then she runs away and asks him to wait, as she will find out eventually. He then approached the other systems and instructed them to check on a different level. Level 3 was set on Barry Arthur's nation. Due to the goodness of Barry Arthur, the game personality became uncomplicated, and the game was raised to maximum difficulty level by him. After he was killed by a user wearing a red cloak. For level 3, they had to protect their castle core, while extracting cores from other castles. All allow PvP potions, etc. But to attack NPC castle is forbidden. Battle Commander Baek Shin-woo stationed himself in Castle 1 and ordered his teammates. Then he activated his bloody sword and destroyed Team 2. Team 2 was eliminated. Unknown NPC rushed to Gloria to report the appearance of a very strong user in Stage 1. He instructs him to send half of the troops to attack Team 1 and the other half to protect the core. He confidently declares that he will not let any player pass Stage 1. In order to eliminate Team 6, he supports Yuhan Ra, the core destroyer, by fighting the defenders outside Castle 5 with his gravitational field ability. As he runs, he asks her to quickly destroy the core and blow up the entire castle. Then, he asserts and simultaneously activates fire and ice abilities that annihilate the entire castle. In Castle 1, Vincent manages to guard the core of the castle as a basic defender, with the help of Ava's ability. On the orders of the 1st Division commander, Gloria Eclipse appears in front of them to immobilize all Team 1 users. Meanwhile, 2nd Division Commander Crescent, along with Queen Twilight's pet spider, appears and asks them to surrender. Then, he reported that Kyle was seriously injured and wasn't sure how long they could last. Baeksan reported that he was captured by Twilight and that they couldn't save him. He used the encyclopedia to get information about it. He said the captured user died after 40 minutes, and it could make all lower rank abilities. Suddenly, Eva reported to him that they reached their limit because the last team joined hands with the residents, and her mind went blank, as if they failed to save her. And she is about to die. Gloria is sure that no ordinary user can defeat them. Vincent screams at her to wake up, because she is the brains of their team, and asks her to make a decision. A figure approaches her and states, he will help her. Then, Baek Shin-woo asked him to hold out for at least 30 minutes. He added that he trusted him, he questioned his plan, he confirmed that he had a plan, and if he stayed in there, they could finish the game and save him too. He agreed and asked him to use his stamina to heal him. And she does. So she activates her damage limit and slips out of the net. She begs him through the earpiece to hold on a little longer until he comes to save her. He consumes a 10-year potion and goes to save her. She directs him to join Vincent and asks them to look after the remaining NPCs and users, then orders Gloria to keep him away from Twilight. She doesn't like the idea of using Twilight's key. Then, as bait to bait him, he appeared in front of the Eclipse and immediately started to fight. Then he lay injured and unable to move. In front of Crescent, he rushed in, and when he activated his powers to attack him, he endured his attack, which confused him. Then he held his head to stop him from making eye contact. He asked him to go save Yuhan Ra. Then he lunged and brought him out of Twilight's trap. He was under the influence of a 10-year potion. Red Hood appeared and attacked them. The system stood next to Mr. X's Akashic note and called him to ask if he was the system. He offered him a deal to never leave his position as operator, and in exchange he would tell him everything he said, that Arthur was killed because of his greed. The more he made the game easier, the more users demanded it. Annoyed and intends to never forgive for being greedy, Red Hood has the key and confesses, it's true that a level 3 NPC is the key. He destroys Crescent's attack tactics. He is surprised that he didn't even try to avoid it. He is enraged after knowing that the user is trying to touch his children. He orders him to join Crescent, because Red Hood appears. They wonder why he left, and judging by his appearance, that something serious happened. He with the intention to take the key, the two attack him. But Baek Shin-woo cancels his attack. He is shocked. When he blocks him, even though the NPC tries to kill him, Perry saves him. He wonders why they are helping him when he comes. Miss Gloria orders them both to back off. Faith in what his father used to believe in. He remembers that his father said that in future they need help from the user, and the user leads the game. He tells about Akasha's record device, which was sealed by him, for storing a huge amount, and that includes the user's memories and abilities. The others can only access it by breaking 6 seals and finding 4 keys. He informs that 3 seals are broken and the game will end in destruction. If only the user gains access, that he claims the seal is an NPC, and says he never anticipated that the user would try to kill them. And Jay is red. It seems the allies have no way to block their abilities. As Jay kills Gina, then creates an organization in recruiting skilled users, he says, that Red Cloak killed Arthur and took his system. Her system is like an ability given to every NPC, and systems with same ability can cancel each other because she has ability. And her system says they both are at level 3, to collect Eclipse Key. She asks for his help because she wants to protect her loved ones. She agrees and asks him to provide information about it. He says he is an intruder with the system. He has NPC abilities. That's why their abilities don't work on him. He uses Spear of Longinus to steal from his father. But Baek Shin-woo cancels the system. Mr. Zero wonders that Red Cloak is the only user with both ability and system. Then he replied that there were 3 of them, and added that love is a system, and he was not removed from his position. He voluntarily gave his power to Baek Shin-woo, he said, that Baek Shin-woo, Jay and Red Cloak had additional abilities, besides their own abilities. He questioned why they did it, did not seek help from NPCs. He clarified that they would not fight for them, he said. If he remains as the operator of the game, it will never end until there is a winner, he confirms. If the system collapses, the operator will become the next system. However, he couldn't understand what she was talking about. Jay asked him to back off as the NPC would be there soon. Before leaving, his wish was to take him. They teleported Yuhan Ra along with themselves. The winner for level 3 was Team 1 with Baek-san, and Yuhan Ra he questioned what would happen. If he were to become a system, he said that he would not be able to escape there, and advised him to prepare for the worst. They had a short meeting. He questioned if Yuhan Ra would be all right. Lita congratulated them and expressed concern her about Yuhan Ra. She said it was done by the intruders who has nothing to do. With the game she is not sure, but she will try to get her back. She then greets her older brother, Kyle. Gloria can't believe it, that he manipulated the 10-year-old potion. And to Baek Shin-woo, he replies, that they need their help, he claims. That they saved Crescent to fool them. If they don't believe each other, then everyone will lose something valuable in the game. He says someone with both types of abilities appeared, so how will they handle it without their help? Jay strokes her hair. She is surprised that she put her trust in them again and says, do what she thinks is right. She knows that all users are not equal, but she can't accept it. She apologizes to her mother and leaves. She gets angry seeing Jay next to her. She remembers that she met him in the shop. The ability that he put on her was masked, and in disguise she used her mind control and asked her to tell everything she said. Thanks for the help. She was impressed that they finished the stage because of him. She always wanted to be acknowledged by someone, and she liked No Neje because her magic words encouraged her. He always thought of doing anything for her, but he wouldn't accept that everything he believed in was a lie. He started crying because his faith in her was getting weaker. He was surprised that Baek-san got a 10-year potion instead. Helping the noise, she tells her brother that she will go to get him. After she gets permission, she appears in front of them and says she will go to save him. Lita questions if she is the system, as since that night, she is acting unusual. She interrupts them and asks, who will save her from the noise? Reply that is about to leave. So she expresses her wish to accompany him. She agrees and is convinced. That red cloak used identity change, he questioned. How did he get 20,000 life points? After he entered the game, he urged her to tell how it all happened. He wasn't feeling well and tried to hide it from his sister. He was curious about her health as he coughed up blood. He wiped his mouth and claimed to be fine. He started crying because he was afraid of losing her. She then hugs him to calm him down. He says the operator has no authority to help her and tells her that they have only met once. Since then, she didn't contact him. He asked her to comply with the order to save the operator from the experiment. She promised to keep his secret, but in exchange, he has to win the game and to rebuild his life according to the direction. She is only interested in his hidden ability. He displaces her, and being warned to be careful of Red Cloak. Urged not to be fooled by the color, he ordered Vincent via telepathy to bring it to him. He came back and told the whole story to Baek Shin-woo. He got permission to take it to the ability shop to buy it. Then he took her to the Red Village. She knew it was not the way to their shop. Was ambushed by the Red Moon. Eva recognized her at first sight. She confessed to healing her sister, because she has an ability called System, and with it she can heal her sister. But in return she wants his help to kill Baek-san. She wonders what if she doesn't accept, he threatens to kill her and her sister. As it won't be safe, he has to choose his team or his sister. Starts crying and asks, why did he do that? He remembers that he was saved by Baek-san's team, and they gave him powers when he didn't have them. He adds that they are his saviors, and it will be difficult for him to go back to them. He claims Miss J is his savior. He comes back alone and tells him that he has returned to his original team. Jay compliments him when he joins Jay's team. He says that Jay and the Red Riding Hoods are on the same side and are using each other. He adds that he kept him alive. Kill Baek-san. He orders him to lie down because they can do anything to get rid of him, he says. Just that he's famous, though he advises to finish the game first, and asks him to study. Limit breaks with his team. He gives them a card to radio his team members, and he connects the card with the NPC so they can contact them. Then he shows up and gives them the bad news that the residents of States 2 and 3 were brutally tortured for information about his mother. Guild members to go to Gloria, he asked Lita to help him, and they immediately left. Brandon turned himself into a small Picasso statue. and wished his mother could see a kind-hearted user like them and they could meet his mother after clearing Stage 3. Someone told him about the worst situation. When the resident of Stage 2 was killed, he thought that the situation could already be over because he had got there. Within 5 minutes, the informant's eyes became red. The real informant was Red Cloak. He rushed and pushed him out. Baek-san stepped in to defend him. When he launched a counterattack on him, he walked out of the area after being surprised to see him for some reason. His back was hurting, so he pointed it out and said that Eva had cured him. He urged her to remove him from the team as his own. His back turned pale, he wondered. Had Jay forced him to destroy his body? He claimed he had no other choice but to obey Jay. He didn't kick him out of the guild and planned to pretend not to know what and play together because he didn't do it. He didn't want to make his little brother hate him even more. Responsible for welcoming them in the second stage level 3 and told the rules that the second stage was connected to stage 3 and they had to collect 4 butterflies. In the first area was the Library of Hallucinations and the second area was the Kingdom of Despair. The butterflies and the Conquest of Courage are in the first 2 areas, while the Power and Wisdom butterfly will be in the third area. Their trusted pirate ship changes partners. When he loses his partner, Vincent will pair him with Baek-san. Then, he sent them to the library, while the rest went to the pirate ship. Eclipse is the library in charge. They have to overcome the dark story to get the butterfly. Conquest, there are 3 rooms. The secret room will show their darkness. The story of the lucky room will tell them one truth they want to know. In the trap room, everything looted for murder is allowed, but to damage the book is forbidden. Library. The second stage of hallucination begins. He believes that the user is very proficient to reach level 3. To get a clue, they start reading a book. Kyle is reading a book. He thinks there must be Lita's biography, so she rushed to find out. Then, she wonders, did she come here for Lita? The NPC tells her that she can't destroy the book, and asks her to stay away from the game, and says she can't clear the secret room because she hasn't dealt with the story yet. And then, he asked her to lead the way. Where did he get the book? He put it down, and a beam of light erupted and a secret room opened. He planned to go in and ask them to find another room, because it might be the trap room or opportunity room. He stepped inside and met his sister. The clip sent the information to Lita, so she would find out how Kyle got into that game. He grew up with an abusive father, even though his mother protected him. Disappeared when Kelly was born. She tolerated the horrible reality, because she was her whole world. He promised to protect her. But it's not that easy. Her drunken father regularly thrashes. She calls herself stupid for trying to make life acceptable in anticipation. That things will get better when she turns 18. She intends to flee the area with her sister. She can raise enough money to be able to rent a room, but her father silently hears them talking. Their father intervenes and asks how they are, at which he grabs his father by the collar and states that if he stopped drinking, they would never find themselves in that predicament. When his sister interfered and to stop him, he beat her. He pushed his father. He shouted his justification to leave. 3 days later, while she was packing luggage, her father asked her, did they mean to leave their house? He gave her the cash she had saved. She found out about Kyle's birthday. She asked him to buy her a cake. She bought a cake and a bracelet, but he was killed in an accident. And because of that, he can never forgive his father, and he has to make up for what he did for the rest of his life. He states he has no intention of going out and will be in danger. He says he saw hallucinations of the future. Happy that he dreamed and left was not simple for him. Well, he talked to him. In one way, conversation. He used the card he saw, if he finished later. Back when the family met with hallucinations, he then gave him the bracelet that he confessed to his father, that he has not forgiven him. He forgot his story, and was about to leave the Lita room named Kelly in World Red Cloak. Original appears in front of him, with a book he had read, his biography in his hands. He says that he read his biography, then appears to defend him. He questions, why did he come here? He came to get the key. He uses the Spear of Longinus, he says. If he continues to waste his ability, he will end up like a grandmother. He can't block it, because it's not his system, and it included his abilities. He told him that Red Cloak entered the book. An NPC was also there. Kyle cleaned the library. Then he gave the butterfly to him, and asked to proceed to the next stage. He intended to investigate the situation and save him. He was worried about him, because he was the key. And it would be dangerous for him too, he stated. That he wanted to see the story of the next episode. Said he did not intend to die, and entered the area. He told Baek Shin-woo about everything in the appearance of Red Cloak. He forbade him to tell others, and confessed immediately there, he to seek Mr. X's help, as only the system can enter the book he threatens. Lita, and asking him to hand over the keys, she struggles to fend off his attacks. Kyle stepped in to protect them. He asked her to get him out of here. He was thinking of taking a partner with him. He appeared and said why would he take a bullet like that? He wondered if two of them became heroes. He agreed because if he let him live, he would continue to hurt Kelly. They were allies they were hiding, because they knew he was always attacking from above. And in the library there would be less space for him, but the location could be intact for almost 2 hours, and they would have to deal with him in that time. They claimed the ideal strategy was to take advantage of his vulnerability. But it won't be easy to find, because he has hidden systems and abilities. The book on abilities was missing, as the books were damaged, and she had to search Kyle's place, asking him to find the book. While she was going to keep him engaged, she confronted him, and surrounded herself with her abilities. The operator in the ability shop questioned her about why she didn't say that she had been demoted because she had given her powers to someone. She claimed that while she temporarily lost her title. Red Cloak has messed up the game and prevented him from regaining his powers. He silently listens to their conversation. He advises him not to leave his position, because if something happens to him, everyone in the game will be in danger. He claims they must be lying because if he uses it, even a little bit of his powers, the game will reset. He goes to Lita to express it. Grief, and they receive Eclipse's email. Has powers in a situation where he can't run the library. He can burn notes to protect someone. He uses his abilities. Then, with the dimensional library locked, no one can enter the library. He overhears Kyle negotiating that if he reveals his weakness, he will give him the Eclipse NPC instead. As a result of his anger, he attacks him. He clarifies it was a misunderstanding. He uses his chain scroll bow to hit him. He smirks and says, if the NPC perishes, then they will use the item the user used. He uses the duplicate creation to clone himself. He says, if they need progress, they will have to risk their lives as they won't be able to take him down. They plan to uncover his face to know his identity, here as if they stick together. Then it will be easier for him to kill them. So he asked her to split up. She used scroll detection to determine her energy level and ability. She said that her energy level decreased just to fly in the air, and by dividing herself. He says the real Red Cloak will come after him, because she is the key. He tells her to deal with the remaining two to the best of her ability. She is enraged by the appearance of Red Cloak. Gloria comes and says she chose to fight because she realized there are only 2 users, and if the key isn't there, she will just run away. He is shocked to see his mother. As Eclipse disobeyed him, he says he is not his son anymore. He says if Brandon does not come, he will take it. He leaves, and she apologizes, then refuses him. The system broke faster than he thought, and the energy was dropping as well. He combined a user item with the system, then activated it. And because he was trapped, Kyle used King Arthur's Spear of Longinus to open it.